Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Game.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you could play it. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see, we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, boo. See, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can help with those. The mo was broke when he made you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet and I need some seconds. You say you have promiscuous ways, that was back in the day. I'll be alive, I say I did it, that shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picking. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you could play it. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Lady, you so far ahead of these others, just like a ship on the horizon. Picking up on your vibe, signal stronger than Verizon. All the thoughts that I've been contemplating, ain't no time for faking or debating. You the one, ain't no mistaking. Look, I see you swag different. Always carry yourself like you ready, you know the mission. I had to know you, I'm tempted. I can see why you timid. Hold up now, baby, listen. Just take that dance with me, I can show you that there's a difference. I'm locked in. I throw away my playaways because you pop in. A shooter always shoot a shot. With you by my side, I guarantee we'll reach the top. I put that on God and then I give you all that I got. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you could play it. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Game.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming here with you on the TSWS Gaming YouTube channel. You know what I noticed that I didn't have in that beginning clip?
No, what?
I did not implement the Gamers United Guild thing.
Oh, no, not yet.
I need to throw that in there because I just made those yesterday. And
Okay.
I had it in my original.
You did. I know you
thing,
did.
But then I think I just slipped up and forgot to implement it on this one. So I'll definitely have that up so everybody knows in the near future.
Have the founder on and couldn't even play the bumper. That's it.
I know.
That's it.
Man.
I'm out. I'm out.
I'm sorry. Oh, the disrespect. Come on, turn on that camera.
Oh my god. All right. Now my camera. Oh my god. You know what? There we go.
Yeah, everything.
I need a new webcam. I need a new webcam so badly.
All right. So hopefully everything's good to go now. This is the first time I'm actually using Skype to do this call. So this is really interesting for me. And you have some stuff apparently to show me afterwards to help me be a more wonderful streamer.
I am your humble servant, my man. We get this. We get this.
Well, although we're talking about helping me, I'm actually here to talk about you, brother.
Oh.
I'm here to talk about you. The gaming history of the head honcho of the Gamers United Guild and the original NLG podcast. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mike Mullis. I'm so happy to have you here today. It is a pleasure. You've invited me to the guild.
The pleasure's mine.
I graciously accepted the offer. It's been fantastic hanging out, having people come in that previously did not check out my stuff. And I tell you what, man, in my opinion, I said this in my tweet when I was tweeting this show out and whatnot. In my opinion, I think you're one of the most stand-up guys that I've ever met within gaming. And then, I mean, who knows? I'll have to meet you in person to
definitely
to go any further with that. But in gaming and meeting people online, 100%, you are the man.
That is way too kind. I appreciate that. No, seriously. I mean, there's a lot of great, fantastic people in this community, and I just try to. My goal is just. I'm all about community. You know, I'm all about. I've always been somebody who loves to be around people, but to be around the right people, to be around, good gamers, good just people that I can, go beyond just, go beyond people just coming into our chats and talking to us here and there on Twitter. I've broken bread with a lot of my online friends. I mean, it's just there's a sense that as we get older, it's hard to maintain friendships locally. As our friends grow up, we all have families, we all have wives and kids. We can't get together like we used to, but being able to play online and meet people from all across the country, all across the world, and make friendships that, let's be honest, 20 years ago we couldn't make. I'm all about that, and I like to just the Gamers United Guild is about having that community, that fun, gamers centric community, just kind of be a nice force on in social media, on the internet, and for us to all be together. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Hang on a second, Ham.
No, that's me.
Oh,
my fault.
okay.
I had it muted. So no. I was saying thank you. Yeah, I'm sitting here talking to a muted mic because I had to get something set correctly, and I didn't want to interrupt or screw up anything. But all in all, like, I just first of all have to thank the chat for showing up. Those of you that support me when I'm down, when I'm up, when I'm just flat out around. Like, I really appreciate you guys being here, giving me your time, which I know is very valuable. I don't take that lightly. So I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys are even here when I'm screwed up and, having my mic muted and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here talking and being passionate, and no one's hearing a damn thing. It's great.
You know what though? It's what we are. I always joke that I'm one of the most professional podcasters on the internet, because you can't be like an NLG show unless I have some technical difficulty that starts off. So I'm with you. I hear you.
No doubt. Mr. Joanna Dark in the chat said he pulled a Jez Corridor. I don't know if you remember that show where he's you remember the thing where he was like live on TV or something like that,
and he's just
and he's just like talking, and then he throws his arms up because they're like, we gotta go, and he's just like, God damn it. That was freaking funny. Angle, if you can for me, either come up a little bit or angle the camera down.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking over on the live. I'm looking over to try to figure out how to get myself correct on the camera. So hang on a second. Let me adjust the chair. Let me start high. And I'll come down, and we'll see if somehow I could get into the.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you've now turned into the OBS camera.
Yep. Yeah, that's nice. I don't know why that happened or how that even happened. Did not change or do anything. But in the NVIDIA podcast just decided, maybe he wants to be on OBS.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So let me do this because I'm looking and my forehead's cut off. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna back up. And maybe this might be. We're gonna fix this. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's good to go, bro. I think you're fine. Yeah, you look good now. I can see the top of your head and stuff like that. It's looking fly, brother.
This is so professional, am I?
But first and foremost, Mr. Mullis, in case they don't follow you yet. I don't know why this keeps happening. In case they don't follow you yet, let them know where they can find you. When you decided to go live, all that jazz. You already know how it goes, so let everybody know.
All right. So, I am the one of the three co-hosts of the original Next Level Gaming channel and the original the NLG show. The YouTube channel is very easy to find. You can just type in Next Level Gaming in a YouTube search, and we're hard to miss. I have two fantastic brothers that help me keep that channel going. That's Peter, who's in the chat. What's up, brother Peter, and brother Chris? They are my we make up the 10 poles of NLG. That is our show. The NLG show comes on Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I am desperately trying to keep that show down to 2 hours now. So,
man, tell me about that. Because last time I was on your show, we were on for like 4 hours.
4 hours.
Jeez Louise, bro.
Chris, who rolled into the chat just now? What's up, brother Chris? He fell asleep. He fell asleep in the middle of the show, and I don't blame him because I was like, "No, we're only gonna go to 11:30." I swear, because he works very, very early, so I always feel bad. He gets like no sleep, so I'm like, you know what? No, we're gonna go early. We're gonna get done at 11:30. I'm gonna get us out of here, and then we just went off, and 1 a.m. came around. We're like, all right, we kind of got to wrap this up.
I was like, somebody mute Sir X-Man's mic. I'm ready to get out. Like, he just keeps asking more and saying more stuff. And I love the brother. But man can talk. Brother can talk. And there ain't nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of... Mooch is another person that I had on not that long, or a little over a year ago on this show. And it was just like, dude... Like, I gotta go to bed soon. You keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and it's fantastic and it's great content, like, no doubt. But I'm visibly getting tired. Like, I'm on camera and I'm visibly getting tired. Same thing happens with K Mega show every once in a while too. K Mega, great brother.
Great.
I'm on his show every Friday. GRG podcast on the K Mega channel on YouTube, 8 p.m. Central, or what we call the Lord's time, and then at 9 p.m. Eastern. So take it or leave it. But that's when we're live over there. But yeah,
I got to get on with K Mega. We had him on last month. I tell you, man, what a great guy that is. What a stand up great guy. I'm glad that we and this is funny because this is where I got to give So I got to give Brother X some great credit. He hit me up and said, "Yeah, you want K Mega? Come on." I'm like, I'm not sure I know who K Mega is. I honestly didn't. My circle stays fairly small, so I'm like, but does he know who we are? He goes, "Oh yeah, he knows who you are. He wants to go." Okay, so he came on, and I'll tell you what, it was another 3.5 hour show, and that's a gamer right there. And I also really enjoy. I started checking out GRG when I can. 'Cause Friday nights is tough for me. It's my Sabbath. I'm usually at our temple, doing services. So there's like the Iconic Video Games podcast at 8 Eastern that Axel does. I can never catch it live. So my Friday evenings are tough, but I try to catch GRG when I'm either driving home or just come home, hang out with the wife. I'm like, yeah, let me check it out. K Mega's he's got a great show. So
absolutely, he sure does. Really good dude. And that's why I'm on his podcast, because he is very welcoming to me getting into the podcasting space and whatnot. And I was very, I was fairly timid. If I'm gonna be honest, I was fairly timid getting into it because, going from never podcasting to just asking random people to be on your show is weird sometimes.
Yes.
And then after I had asked him, he invited me onto his show, and it was a really good time. He's one of the brothers that helped me open up and be more of who I am, instead of just kind of being nice and everything's, rainbows and, sunshines and everything like that. His podcast allowed me to open up and just, be who I am, be proud of who I am, speak my mind.
Call it as you see it.
Exactly. But again, this podcast is about you, not K Mega.
No, but I
got to give him his flowers, though. Got to give him his
absolutely.
flowers.
It's about the community.
It really is. And I'm really digging this community, as toxic as it can be sometimes. I still find peace within, specific areas and whatnot. But what's up, Panda Sub 2000?
That's my boy Panda. Oh, that's my boy Panda. Let me tell you, you want to talk about some content. Now, he's working on stuff that is going to blow your mind. But if you check out his channel, the content he has on there, this man is a pro video maker. I mean, I'm talking pro. Okay. And just an outright fantastic guy too. Outright fantastic guy.
Well, you see that right spot of the podcast where Mike is, Panda? Maybe someday you might be there. That'd be fantastic. That'd be great. I like talking to new people, meeting new people. I'm all about, like as we were talking about earlier, community, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I don't want to I don't want to his gaming knowledge. I don't want to underestimate, undersell. His gaming knowledge is top notch. Like him and I have some great. He's been doing Retro Roots with me. We do that with Geeks with Cash every other Monday, and he's been on with us as hopefully a regular panel member. But we've had some great discussions, and he's very knowledgeable. So I'd actually love to see you talk to him.
He said check is in the mail, Mike. Thanks. He got jokes too. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. All right, fantastic. So, brother, what are you playing as of lately? What's been going on with you? Are you still getting that ass beat in Wolong, or did you put it down for a little bit? I remember I had to come in and you
did come in and you did. I did climb on that back. All right, so I am doing a couple of things. So first and foremost, Brother Peter and I have been playing Forza Horizon 5, the rally adventure. And I've been doing a little bit of that on my own. That is phenomenal, fantastic. Peter and I are rally guys. Like you say the words Rally Sport Challenge, and I'm there. My very first game journalist box quote is on a rally game, so it's kind of a special genre to me. So we've been doing that, and well,
were you big into these right here? Were you big into these?
oh my man.
I made him get up and run. I love it. So in other words, what that means is he's going to show me something, because that's what Mike does. He loves to. Yeah, he gets excited and then he runs and grabs something to show everybody. It's
called not being prepared at all. So you're talking about these, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly what I just had.
I know.
To the T.
To the T. Yo, so those are the pinnacle of. And I was a big Colin McRae guy. I did Colin McRae Rally. I do Dirt. The Dirt series is really good, and one of my all-time favorites is this Test Drive V Rally for the Dreamcast. And well, I'll show this to you. So, as people know, Next Level Gaming was not just a YouTube channel. It was a website back in the day. But before I created that, I worked as an editor for a site called Dreamcast HQ. So I was a big Sega guy, of course. And of course, there we go. That on the back is my very first ever box quote. So they took my review and they were like, "Can we use that?" And so I'm like, "What do you think I'm going to say?"
Throw that one more time.
That is my box quote. My very first ever box quote.
The definitive rally racing game on the Sega Dreamcast.
And it was, and it is, and it still holds up today. And it is one of the few rally games out there that actually has a track editor. And it is a badass track editor. I still have a bunch of tracks saved on my VMUs. Like this game did Infogrames, I pour one out for them every time I pick this game up because, man, they had a winner.
Definitely, man, definitely. So Forza has been the top dog as of lately for you.
Oh, yeah.
With all of the news surrounding the new games that are coming out, so we got Jedi Survivor, Redfall, Eek. We got.
We're not talking about Redfall tonight.
Oh boy, we got Tears of the Kingdom coming. Yep. Dead Island.
Dead Island 2.
Yep, Dead Islands as well. And is that it?
Yeah,
I feel like that's it. Just for the most recent.
That's it for now.
But is there any of those that you're looking at and you're like, this is day one?
Jedi Survivor #1. That's not even a. I was such a fan of Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
What an absolute masterpiece of a Star Wars game. I mean that game took me back to my days of playing the Jedi Knight series, like Jedi Outcast, and Jedi Academy. That game was just one of the best Star Wars games of the past couple generations. No shade on Battlefront, but this was a different beast.
Oh yeah, Battlefront was great in the original Xbox days.
Yeah.
As for the newer Battlefronts, like the remakes, I guess you can call them or whatever.
Yeah. My kids liked it. I could do without.
You know? I wasn't running after it, especially after their kind of kerfuffle that they had.
Yes.
It wasn't a good look, and it kind of drove. I was already not that interested in it, and then that drove me even further. I was just like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So the other thing that I've been doing lately, so because there's there's been a lot of movement on it that so I can't, you kind of know what it is. I can't say too much about it. Still doing some I mean, people know I'm play testing a console that's, hoping comes out. So I've been doing a lot of that this week. There's been some stuff that I've been looking at. So that's been the bulk of my gaming week.
Okay. All right. So what game, and I feel like this is going to be a simple answer, what game makes you the most nervous of all of those that are coming out?
Oh, the ones you listed or just in general?
The ones I listed, yes.
I feel like I'm not allowed to say Redfall now.
No, you're totally allowed to say that.
Is this a safe space?
This is the space right here. This is the space.
I call it as I see it. I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous about how that game's gonna fare out. The good news is, and I guess I should have articulated this on Twitter earlier today as well. It's on Game Pass. I'll fire it up and see if that 30 frames per second jars me like it does with other first-person shooters. It is hard for me to go back to it's hard for me to go back to a shooter that isn't that smooth, especially after playing Halo Infinite. It's hard to get into those, and those that say they can't tell a difference, good on you. Good on you.
Yeah, I kind of wish I was them.
I wish I was too. I have always been, and this is not like a new revelation. I know people. The problem with social media is that people are, I get that there are some people that are kind of taking advantage of this this news for their own benefit.
Sure.
I'm not. I've been consistent over many years that I prioritize frame rate over resolution every day of the week. I have never wavered from that, and I never will. In fact, Forza Horizon's a really good example, because when, prior to the Xbox Series X, when we all had just the One X, right?
Right.
I absolutely put that sucker in performance mode. I didn't play Forza Horizon in quality mode, and you can absolutely tell the difference. Absolutely tell the difference, and that's a racing game. It is difficult to play mini games. Like, I don't know if I would have enjoyed Hi-Fi Rush in 30 frames. That is a fast-paced Twitch style game that requires some fast reflexes, and I don't know that I would have enjoyed that had it not been as smooth as it was. One of the things I loved about the Dreamcast is that almost every game was 60 FPS. If it wasn't, that was the exception to the rule, not the norm. And that was because the developer just wasn't that good at it, at coding, games. But those days are seemingly behind us, and so this makes me nervous. I don't want to go off on a tirade about Redfall. Everybody knows how I feel about it. It's not. I think it's a mistake. I think that they are going to. I think that they are going to end up regretting that the same way 343 is regretting the mistakes they made with Halo Infinite, like not having the campaign co-op. And that's what makes me most nervous. I remember when Halo Infinite came out and it was broken. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was broken. Big team battle didn't work. It took them 2 months to fix that. And then they said, well, we're going to bring out campaign co-op in like 3 months. Just give us 3 months. 3 months turned into 9 months. They prioritized the rest of the multiplayer and all that stuff over those of us who wanted the campaign co-op. And so I'm a little nervous that they say, well, we'll patch the 60 frames in later. Okay, when? And they won't say when. And that leads me to believe that there might come a time when they just might say, yeah, we don't even need to do it. And I think what's going to happen is and look, again, I got to call it like I see it. Microsoft has a habit of shelving things that don't do well. And this has a very real possibility of underperforming because of this decision. And instead of understanding that that's the reason for it, they're just going to go, well, it didn't sell anyway, so we're just going to shelve the IP. That's what I'm really nervous about.
Yeah, and it's kind of a habit. Like you just mentioned Halo not that long ago, how that came out just in pieces, pretty much, right? So to me, it's just like, man, how many times is Microsoft gonna lean on Game Pass a little too much to the point that they are willing to give you more quality clear after the launch of a game than in the launch of the game? To me, that's weird. Like Brother Everborn that I've had on the show, and I've talked to him. I've been on his panel a few different times with Kay Asante and whatnot on the Gaming Circle podcast, and he's one of the guys that say never buy a game day one. He literally stands on that because he says that, especially in these times, when you buy a game day one, you're usually getting less value than somebody that buys it a few months down the line, which is wild. And the reason behind that is day one patch issues, games not completely being done, as you kind of can see. Like a good example of this is Callisto Protocol. I got Callisto Protocol for $70, ran through it, beat it, and had a lot of complaints about it. A lot of complaints. Just to be told by somebody else that bought the game a few months later, oh, all those things are fixed now.
Right.
And they got it cheaper.
Well, how many of these games get a performance mode dropped afterwards that I've already beaten the game? So why am I going to go back? And that's why I'm honestly, I don't know. Am I going to look at Redfall? Yeah, but do I really want to go through it, be done with it, and then I'll say, let's take Jedi Fallen Order for a moment. I did enjoy it. They came out with a 60 FPS mode because it was still technically last gen as well. So they came out with a mode, and I didn't go back and play it again because I was done with it. I finished the game. I actually got all the gamer score on that one. I was done. What's wrong with this is that they're not catering back to the older generations either. And this is an X and S game only, which makes this even more difficult to swallow that, hey, you can't prioritize taking control of the most powerful console ever built, which is what you said. And your game doesn't run any better than A Plague's Tale, which was done by a small developer.
Don't do
shade,
that, Mike.
No, hold on. No shade on A Plague's Tale. I played all the way through that too. Got almost all the gamer score out of that. That was a fantastic game.
It was top quality.
I have nothing but love for that game. What I'm saying is the difference in size studio between Focus Entertainment or Asobo and Arcane is probably a few hundred people. And you're telling me that that's a first party exclusive game, A Plague Tale was multi-platform. You are concentrating on a single platform with many more people. And that's the best you can do right now, that you'll patch it in later, which is it just I feel like we've gotten into a mode of just settling for it. Well, this is what it is.
Right.
I've seen people on social media, even friends of mine, they're like, we just need to stop believing their promises. How is that normal? How is that something we should be doing? Why I have an issue with settling, right? We shouldn't settle. I'm not saying that I'm not suggesting we go riot, at Arcane Studios. I'm not saying we go picket. I'm not saying, Phil Spencer's got to go, any of that nonsense. But there comes a point, there's got to be a line to where even the most ardent person goes, all right, there's something going on that really needs either an adjustment or at least an explanation. Come out and say, listen, we've targeted 60 frames per second the whole time. We understand every single solitary trailer and gameplay video and story modes video and everything has all been 60 frames per second.
Even in the Xbox store.
Even in the Xbox store. We're just not there yet. We don't want to delay the game. For those who want to play it now, we'll give it to you in quality mode. I mean, that's how they should do it. Not just say, hey, it's just going to run in quality mode and we'll patch this later on. Or delay it again. And I actually now understand. I now understand Forza Motorsport. I was one of those that was saying, man, and here they are, and this is where Microsoft painted themselves into a corner. They were the ones who said these games are all coming out in the next 12 months. And the only, the technicality was you had to read the little fine print in the picture that said, well, we're targeting that. And that's what people were down to is, well, look at the little asterisk with the 5-point font text that says, well, this might not happen. But no, they came out and they said everything you're going to play is in the next 12 months. So already they Starfield's out of that. Forza Motorsport, we have no idea when it's coming out, right? And so
it's like the last one's Redfall.
Right. And they couldn't do it. They can't do it. Because they can't have all of their games fall out. So this is the best they could do for us is say, well, we're just going to have to drop the 60 frames per second mode. And so, and again, that's why I'm saying maybe Arcane is not the people we should be upset with. They obviously want to put the game out in 60 frames per second. Otherwise, every trailer wouldn't have been in 60 frames. The problem is that we keep getting
it's like gaslighting.
Right. And we keep getting half of what we're promised. And we're just like, it'll be all right. No, it's not going to be all right. This is not okay. And I don't know. And if this is, but I have now more respect for the fact that what Forza Motorsport is almost doing is what id Software used to do with Doom. And when I covered Doom 3 for NLG, we went out, we played it. We were playing it on Xbox consoles, right? It was coming out for Xbox. And I asked Tim Willett, I'm like, Tim, when is this thing coming out? He looked me dead in the eye and said, when it's done. That was always id's answer to when Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, when it's done. And
that's the best answer.
That's the best answer. When it's done. They painted themselves into a corner, and now they've got to pay for it. And that is going to. This is I wonder how much this one's going to burn them.
That's it. That's interesting, and that was an awesome take that you had right there. I agree with like 99.9% of what you said. I can't even tell you what that, 0.01 that I disagree with. I think if I were to take anything that you said and disagree with it at all, is just like what you think they should have said about like kind of being apologetic about dropping it. I just flat out say delay it. I don't care. I don't care what I don't care what they said last year for the whole year thing. Like, please, like, I don't like that you're just like, hey man, come on over here and have a freaking awesome meal, and I show up and it's crackers.
Right.
like what is this? Like, don't tell me that I'm gonna have like this freaking monstrosity of a meal, and then I show up and I'm freaking eating saltines to survive.
Right. And the pizza's coming at some point.
yeah, we ordered the pizza. It'll be here.
Right. I would be fine. I mean, they delayed Suicide Squad because they know that game needs it. And did you see what they delayed it to? They delayed it to February 2024.
Next year. Yep.
That is not polish. They're not polishing that game. They are fundamentally fixing something that's wrong with that game. And you know what? That's the right move. And I agree with you 100%. The right move is to come out and say, we want this game to be 60. It is not there yet. We can't put this in your hands until it is as good as we can make it. I think people will be upset for a few days and then go, you know what? Because look what they did with Starfield. How many people were unaffected by Starfield moving to November? Every single solitary person that I know said, dude, take all the time you need. Make that game spectacular. Take all the time you need. Nobody else cared that it fell out of the
I'm talking about September.
Thing. Is it September? I'm sorry.
Yeah, September. Early September.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
I mean, it was definitely like when they announced both Redfall and Starfield are going to be delayed, I was upset. I'm going to keep it real with you. I was upset about it.
But I understand why.
But it still goes back. The whole reason I wasn't mad at Bethesda. I wasn't mad at Arcane. Once again, I was mad about the messaging I was given.
That's it.
And this is the same situation. This is the exact same situation in which, when they stood up on stage last year and said, you know what, 2020, I know 2022 is hard, but 2023 is going to be freaking insane. And they kicked it off fantastic with the developer direct. But the thing about Microsoft for me, and I apologize everybody that we're getting on this tangent when we're supposed to be talking about history and whatnot, but we'll get to that here in just a sec. But like the thing that irritates me the most is there's always a catch. There's always a catch with Microsoft, it feels like. Even when they showed off Hi-Fi Rush, that was to ignore that they just delayed Forza.
Oh, right.
That was like, look over here.
So Brother Chris has a question, and I actually, now that I think about it, he said, how long to delay if they need the game to release so they can get a larger metric number of gameplay and co-op to help stability at 60 FPS? Why wasn't there a beta? They beta everything else. How long did they beta Halo Infinite for? There was no co-op beta of Redfall. So, and that's I guess the thing is, the people who are going to play it at 30 frames per second are the not the guinea pigs. That's the wrong word. They're the test subjects for everybody else who's waiting to play at 60. How fair is that to the gamer? Just, I mean, I'm with you. The more I think about it, I delay it. Say, you know what, you guys, you're right. This isn't acceptable. We hold ourselves to a better standard. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put out a beta, and we want to stress test at 60 FPS, like the game's going to be, and let people hammer it and let them get those statistics and get that metric and do all that. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, man, 100%. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand, because
I got it out of my system until Tuesday.
We're in a different state right now. We veered off so far.
We have. I'm gonna take the rest of them. I'm gonna suppress it down. I'm gonna push it down. I'm gonna hold it till Tuesday so that Chris and I can have this conversation on air.
Well, if anybody wants to hear more thoughts from me and some of the crew around TSWS Gaming, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, for Bullsitting with me, Cozy Beluga. Matt Likes Games. Loke is out this week going to a wedding, and in his spot, I brought in Silent Cypher from the Xbox International Podcast. I'm super stoked to have him on.
Yeah.
He is not hosting because it's still my show, but because that's what Loke does. He does the hosting and stuff like that for that show. So I'll be hosting that show, but Silent Cypher is going to be coming through, and also 108 Dragon. Mr. Lemon is going to be coming through to give us his spicy takes and also tell us why we should shut up and just play it at 30 FPS.
Yes.
Because Lemon is spicy like that.
I know. And I do want to address that, though, because that's what and love. I love Lemon to death. I love all our but the one thing we got to stop with is, I can be critical, right? But I've also gone out of my way to say, if you want to play it day one, go ahead. You are not going to get an argument out of me. That is your choice to do so. I'm not likely going to, because I have the standards that I want. If you want to play that game, play it. That's the beauty of it. But don't call people names. Don't attack people. People are not crybabies. And I'm not talking about the console warriors that are specifically using this to do drama. But not everybody that's complaining is a crybaby or should just shut up and deal with it, or just shut up. Yep. I don't subscribe to that either. And I think that does more harm than good. You can disagree and say, I'm going to play it day one because I don't care about the frame rate. And that's fine. I'm certainly not going to say to anybody, well, you're just stupid. No, because that's the great thing about personal choice. I play games that people don't like. People play games that I don't like. There's no good in the name calling and the just telling people you should just shut up. No, you spent $500 on a console based upon that messaging that you were talking about, right? Based upon a lot of people bought that 4K 120 on the side of the Xbox box. That it is absolutely okay to criticize this and to be disappointed in this and to want to hold off on playing it until it is, in your estimation, correct or complete. That doesn't make you a bad person. And I think we've got to be better than that. And that's just going to say that. We got to be better than that.
Yeah, I can tell you 100% I'm playing it day one. But this is different now. The way that they presented it to me is different now. I went from ready to get on the high dive and just cannonball in. And now I'm like, oh, I got a toe dip instead.
You're going to check it out. You're going to check it out, but
I'm a trepidation. I'm just going to dip my toe in and see if it's good. But 1 week ago, I was ready to freaking bust a gainer and get into Redfall super hard. But moving on.
All right. We're done?
Yes, it is zipped and put away now. I asked you earlier, Mike, what the first console that you ever had that you had available in your household, and you told me the original Intellivision.
Yep.
Please.
The original Intellivision.
Let them know. Let them know.
So my dad, at my very young age, worked at a toy store, at a big, I forgot the name of it, like Toy Barn or it was some like East Coast chain. So he had access to all this stuff, and he brought home, this is what my dad did all the time. Whatever the normal was, he got the different. So what everybody was,
I have that issue myself.
The Atari 2600, he brought home Chris. I love you, Chris. He brought home the Intellivision, and it was an amazing system. Believe it or not, it was the first ever 16-bit console. It really, you'd never know it, but it had 16-bit processor in it. So it had some amazing titles on it, and it did look better than Brother Boogie. It looked better than the 2600 in every facet. The 2600 had combat. The Intellivision had armor battle, and it looked better. The Atari, the 2600 had missile command. The Intellivision had Astro Smash, and it was an amazing game. And so I played that for a long time. I do not have my original Intellivision console anymore. That broke a long time ago. I do, if you can see it, the white console that I'm pointing to with the
far to the
little
left.
black disc. Yeah, that is the Intellivision 2. I picked one of those up many years ago because I wanted to have one. But all of the games that are over on my shelf are all my originals from when I was a kid. And
wow,
yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I am helping to play test and keeping my fingers crossed, my toes crossed, my eyes crossed that Intellivision can recreate that magic with the console they're trying to put out, because there's a little bit of nostalgia in it for me, but there's also watching my kids play remakes of games that I played when I was a kid. So the Intellivision was my first, and I still enjoy. I have like some of the Intellivision lives and things because I can't really hook this up to the HD TV, but I've got some of I've got Intellivision lives on the Xbox, which has a bunch of the games on it, and so I still play it from time to time, and I've shown Seth those games, and so he gets an idea of what Dad played when he was, when I was 10 years old. Or 7, I guess, is when the Intellivision came out for me.
Okay, that's awesome, man. I can't believe you have such a rich history that you can even point out some of the consoles that you had as a kid. Like, this is actually literally what I turned on.
Oh yeah,
back then, which is nuts. Like, I don't not a single console that I have is my original one, other than the Series X, PS5, Series S, and all of the other Xbox Ones that I have, which I have like 3 of them. Those are all the like consoles I had since they were since they came out. But as for like my 360, this is a different 360 than I had. My Dreamcast, different Dreamcast. Saturn, different Saturn. Genesis and Sega CD, different. PlayStation 2, different. GameCube, different. Like all of those are things that I purchased again. Did not have my original one because when I was young, I was one of those brothers. Didn't have a whole lot of money, so I had to trade in everything
right,
to move on up to the east side.
I made those choices too. Some of it also came because like with the Sega CD. So I don't have I've got my 32X over there, but I don't have my Genesis and my Sega CD because the Sega CD was very notorious for lasers
Yes.
breaking. So
My first Sega CD, the laser went out. Yep.
both of mine did. I had both models. I had the Model 1, which was that
The
sat
bottom.
on top of that had the sliding, and then I had the Model 2 with the flip up. Both of them, both. So I still have my games, but I don't have those consoles. However, my Dreamcast, both my import and my US Dreamcast, my Saturn, my OG Xbox, my 360 is not. My 360 is an Elite. I did trade that one in because I wanted the Elite because I wanted the HDMI. However, my dev kit 360 is still original.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a story. That's a great story. I never will understand why Microsoft never asked for it back. But so most of that stuff's my original hardware. The Genesis, my 16-bit stuff is not, and I end up emulating it. I own it, so like I take the CDs and I rip them down, but I do emulate it because and to go back and try to buy that hardware again would cost me $200 or $300, and I just can't. It's like the ColecoVision. That was my next big console, was the ColecoVision.
That's amazing because that thing is not cheap.
Oh, not around here. A ColecoVision in the box would cost me $150. And they make them there's somebody out there that actually mods them to work on HD stuff, and that can be $300 or $400.
My goodness. But all right, so we started out with Intellivision, and you just got done telling me all these different consoles that you had. What was kind of the moment that you said, I am a gamer? Was it during the Intellivision part, which is fairly rare to say your first console is what made you a gamer? Because usually, at least when I was a kid, my first console was like a Sega, but I didn't really realize that I was like a full-on gamer. Like I played it all the dang time, but I wasn't like somebody that considered themselves a gamer until probably I got my PlayStation. Then I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm spending everything I can on this thing. This is ridiculous.
I think it was before that, because before that there were still some platforms in which games came on that weren't necessarily consoles that still like I would, there were arcade games at the pizza shop, right? So
right.
I saw Pac-Man, things like that. Now, I was a little older when I saw that, but there were things like the TI-99, which was a computer, it's a Texas Instruments computer, but it had games on it. And I used to play those games all the time. I mean, that was all. God, those years kind of jumble in my head a bit, and I'm trying to remember if I'm pretty sure I had the TI-99 before I had the Intellivision. I think. If it wasn't, they were around the same time. So it is. Thinking about it now kind of thinking through your question, that 1979, 1980, when I was 70 years old, probably is around the time that I started to realize, yeah, I like games. I like what I'm playing here. Because the TI-99, I'm looking it up. The TI-99 was 1979, and then the 4A was 1981. So that's around the same time as the Intellivision. So I was playing kind of both of those at the same time. That's about when I figured, yeah, I really like this, and I could do this all the time.
Okay, and if you don't mind, what age bracket were you around during that time?
Oh, I was 7.
7 years old, considering yourself a gamer. That's pretty dope. That's pretty interesting. But tell me, what the most like between the age of 7 to 17. So let's give you 10 years.
Okay.
What was probably the most insane either game or console that came out, or both?
So about that time, in '83 was the ColecoVision. That thing was bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Like that was the time, and I did this video on our channel about Donkey Kong, and the history of Donkey Kong. And I will never forget. There are a couple of times in my gaming kind of life where I really looked at something and went, "Oh my goodness." When my dad brought home the ColecoVision, it had Zaxxon. That was the pack-in. And
You're going to have to tell the young head what that means.
Okay. So Zaxxon was one of the first kind of 3D-ish isometric shooters. You flew in kind of 3D isometric into a play field that you had to kind of go up and down your ship. You had to dodge missiles and that kind of thing. It was a Sega game. And it came packed in the arcade. It looked great. What came packed in with the ColecoVision, it looked exactly like the arcade, which you couldn't get that prior. You know, I remember Pac-Man on the Atari 2600. It was fine at the time, but you look at it now and you're like, that's not even close to the arcade. But you turned on Zaxxon on the ColecoVision, and it looked exactly like what you go and put quarters in. And then one of the other games my dad brought home was Donkey Kong. And you're looking at it and you're like, oh my God, this looks exactly like the arcade. I mean, minus, when you're 10 years old, you don't know the difference. But I'm like, oh my goodness, this is insane. And that's really kind of one of the pinnacles of when I said, this is some crazy stuff that we could do at home. And then of course, the ColecoVision had a steering wheel. So, I had the steering wheel attachment and all this stuff. And it was that was the pinnacle of home gaming until I went out and got the Atari 800 computer. Actually, my father got it. We had an Atari computer in the house. And that's when my gaming experience just went through the roof. Because that led me into that was my first cursor into computer gaming. And the games on that were they were identical to the Atari 5200 because they were made of the same chipset. So I was playing these crazy games that you couldn't play on console. And that was just so eye-opening. And that got me into PC gaming. I didn't get back into console gaming actually until the Genesis. And that's a crazy story in and of itself.
Let's go Genesis.
Yes.
Let's together let that fraud know. Let's together let that fraud Carlos know.
Yes. Tried that propaganda.
Yeah, he's trying to add the disrespect.
He tried. He failed.
What he said, Nintendo.
Nintendo over Sega. Yeah.
Sega didn't even sound.
Genesis does. So remember, man, Joe Montana said it. Buster Douglas said it. Pat Riley said it. Tommy Lasorda said it.
Let him
Nintendo.
know.
And that's
right. The sports console.
Yeah. So I was playing. I had actually gotten a Tandy 1000 computer right after our Atari died. And that was my first foray into PC gaming. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole new level. And that's when EA was coming up. So there were games like One-on-One, Dr. J versus Bird, before Jordan versus Bird.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there was one before Jordan.
The first one was Julius Erving versus Larry Bird.
Man, Larry Bird out here. For real.
I know, Larry. Well, Larry, Larry's the man. and there were, I was playing games like that. I was playing PC games at that time, and there was some insane stuff there. But I wanted an NES. And so, Hanukkah was rolling around, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, want to get an NES?" Everybody else is getting one. I was like 14 or something. I forgot how old I was. What was the NES was
84, I think.
84. So, so I was like 11, 12 years old. And I did not get the NES. So instead, sometime later, my dad brought home a box
The Silver Shield
for a later Hanukkah. And it was 89, so I was, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was like 15 years old. And I'm like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Well, I heard this was really good. I heard this was better than the NES." I'm like, "Are you serious? It's not better than NES." I was like upset.
Like, what street vendor did you talk to?
Right. This is not what I wanted. I literally wanted a Nintendo Entertainment System. Everybody had, and he's like, "Well, try it. Try it." I'm like, "Fine." So, I wasn't one of those kids. I wasn't one of those spoiled brats that was like, "No," and throw it. I was like, "All right, I'll try it." And you remember the pack-in, right? You remember the original pack-in, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I hooked this thing up, and I put the cartridge in, and it fires up, and I'm like, "All right, this is kind of cool." I hit the start button, and I hear, "Rise from your grave," and I'm like, "What?" This was one of those moments.
Let's go.
Holy, what? And I'm used to. I had played on an NES before, so I'm used to little Mario. Do. I see this dude. He's this big on my screen,
flexing,
and walking like this, and he's punching and he's kicking, and he turns into a freaking wolf, and I'm like, "Oh man!" And I forgot the Nintendo Entertainment System existed. From that day on, that was the start of my Sega fanboyism. I became a Sega fanboy.
Yeah, get out of here, clowns. Go out of here.
All about. I was like, "Dude, Nintendo, what?" When the SNES came out, I don't need that trash. I mean, I had friends that were like, "Oh, the Super Nintendo, it could do 256 colors. Your Genesis only does 64. I was like, "Yeah? Can your Genesis do this?" And I put on Sonic. I'm like, "Nope." I bought into the blast processing BS. It was insane. When Street Fighter came out on the Super Nintendo, and everybody was doing their thing. And I was getting a little older at that time. Street Fighter comes out on the Super Nintendo. I'm working at EB at that time, and I've got to sell this game. And I'm like, yeah. And then Mortal Kombat comes out, and Sweet Revenge. "Oh, you don't have blood in your game?" "Oh, really? You don't have the best version of the better fighting game?" Yeah, I was that guy at the time.
Yeah, you got all them colors but red.
I said, "Bring all the smoke."
All them colors but red.
All about it. There was no, and then the Sega CD came out, and I was like, "Y'all don't have something like Sylphy, do you?" Nope. I mean, those are just, the Sega did innovate so much, and people don't understand how. Nintendo created the PlayStation, let's be honest, which then went on to destroy everybody. So I blame Nintendo for that.
In my opinion, they created the mid-gen refresh.
Well, yeah. But I mean, Sega came first with a good CD system that was actually better than the TurboGrafx CD in many ways. And they were the first. Like, I remember playing Sewer Shark and being blown away. I actually remember the packing games for Sega. So The original Sega CD, the Model 1. You remember those packing games too, right?
I don't. No, I don't. So that now you're outside of my element.
All right.
A little bit.
All right. So it was a Sega CD version of a Genesis game called Soldice. The CD version was called Solfice. Also came with Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which was a full motion video game, and it came with a triple game of Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and Columns. But I remember putting in Solfice, and I'd never played Solfice before, never played the Genesis version. And I heard this soundtrack, this music, this. All of a sudden, what I'm hearing is not the FM synthesis of the Genesis, right? I'm hearing music. And that just blew me away. And
it was smooth too. It was smooth music. Because during that time, I was like I said, I was too young to like go out and purchase all this stuff and whatnot. But we did have it in the household, and like my stepfather at the time, he is really big into like Jungle Strike and Desert Strike and all of those games. But when we played that Sega CD with like Joe Montana football and some of that stuff on there, like it was insane just to hear the audio in there compared to just the cartridge.
Right.
It was insane. I mean, PlayStation, everyone likes to say, oh, PlayStation did this and that, but like it's like, yo, there was other CD-ROM consoles before PlayStation that really emphasized sound in games. And it was crazy the way that you had to set it up for the Sega CD. You have to have this front cable. If you have the original Sega CD, you have to plug it into the front and then wire it in the back. And you have three or you have two or three. Like if you had the
if
whole
you had the 32X,
thing,
you had three power supplies that were
three
this
power
big.
supplies. That's what I got hooked in currently. I got 3 power supplies, and I'm just like, dude, this thing takes up. I mean, and it's not like the Xbox and the PlayStation now, where it's just like one little small cord that gives you room to plug in anything else. This is these big old bricks.
Big old power bricks. Yep.
And just 2 of those took up pretty much a long power strip. Yeah.
I just was so blown away, and that's where I got into music in gaming, and that's where I grew a love for. 2 of my favorites, one of which I still, it's still surreal to me that we're friends. So there's Spencer Nilsson, who did like the Sonic CD, the Batman Returns, Echo the Dolphin, and Tommy Tallarico, who did Cool Spot, he did Cool Spot on the Genesis, but he did like the Terminator Sega CD. He did Earthworm Jim's music, Earthworm Jim 2 on the side. And
that game's pricey now.
Yes, they are. So, and by the way, shout out. I'm going up. Seth and I are going up to see him in June. His video games live show that he does is up in Boston. My man got the Boston Pops to do this concert with him. I am stoked.
Man.
Yeah, Tommy called me a couple weeks ago and said, Mike, you're not going to believe what just happened. I'm like, what? And he said, so we're going to do a video games live show in June. Now, he's been busy with Intellivision, and he's had some things go on. His dad passed away, and he's taken some time off for some personal things. But he started to do some shows again, and he said, I'm going to be up in Boston in June to do video games live. I said, what are the chances you can come up? I'm like, well, I don't know. I had to see what's going on. He said, well, you're not going to believe this, but the Boston Pops are doing it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's been his lifelong dream. And so sure enough, I go on the Pops website and video games live June 3rd. So like, yeah, Seth and I will be there. So Seth couple years ago when he came over to Pennsylvania and we were previewing the Amico up in Pennsylvania, he took Seth aside and gave him a backstage pass that he had, and he said, "Hey, if you ever come to a video games live show, this is a real pass. You can, and gave it to him." And Seth was 11, this was like a cool moment for him. So I told him, and we bought the tickets. He ran upstairs. He's 13 now. Dude, God, he looks like a teenager. It's amazing. And he's like, "I still have this. Can I use it?" And then I called Tommy. I said, "He can still use his pass, right?" And he's like, "Yes, that's our pass." So he's all excited.
That's amazing. I bet he is a little blown away that he still had that with him.
Well, there's something else, and this is this is public information, so it's not something I'm saying that isn't. Seth has gotten very much into Halo. In fact, he got a PC for Hanukkah. He's up there playing Halo 2 on a Master Chief Collection right now, and going back and forth between
great game
between Xbox and remastered graphics. I love the boy is awesome.
Just hitting that back button over and over.
Just playing it.
It's so crazy when you get into the cutscenes and hit that back button. It's like, whoa, what just happened?
So he goes around, because he's autistic, he does like hold on to things. So he walks around a lot, and he'll just like to himself, he'll just hum the Halo theme. I just hear him, ooh, and he just does that. I mean, it's just one of his quirks. Well, it turns out that one of Tommy's guest conductors that's going to conduct the Halo segment is Marty O'Donnell.
Wow.
And I think I have it set up. Now, I've met Marty before because I've been to E3 during Bungie's time and all that stuff. I've met him before. He won't remember me from a hole in a wall, but I've met him.
Sure.
I think I can get him to meet Seth, which will blow him away. And so that's one of the cool things. Mike just confirmed Halo on the Amico. Thanks, Diego. So I mean, so we're going up to see him. He's one of my two top video game soundtrack guys. And so that I said all that to get back to that. The Sega CD launched my love of video game soundtrack. Like back in that day, graphics were not what they are today. So you had to have something to sell you, whether it's gameplay or music. And the music brought you into these games. And Sonic CD is one of those. The Sonic CD is still my favorite Sonic game. It's my top Sonic game, right next to Sonic Adventure. Because the music just grabs you. And it's so real. And it's so good. And it immerses you. The music in Echo the Dolphin makes a difference between playing the Genesis version and playing the Sega CD version. That got me there. And it grew with the, so from that point on, I was a Sega guy. So I got the Saturn, and my Saturn is still my launch Saturn from 1996. And I had it modded. There's a switch on the side of it so I could play imports. From there, went to the Dreamcast. Like I had no interest in PlayStation. I was Sega all the way. I did get a Nintendo 64. And that did make me, it was at that point that I did realize that I had missed out on a lot of Nintendo stuff. Because Mario 64 was.
So at that moment, I knew I fucked up.
Mario 64, Wave Race 64, Pilot Wing 64. Those were amazing titles. Amazing titles. But I was still at heart Sega all the way. So Dreamcast was a natural evolution into what I was going to primarily game on next. And that was the point in time in which I got into the game journalism part of my life.
perfect. You actually segued for me. I was getting ready to segue into the next thing because I was like, I feel like he's butting up to like when he started doing journalism and whatnot. Because I mean, you started talking about the Dreamcast, and you literally just showed a Dreamcast game with some of the things that you wrote about it. So please, let's go on ahead and segue into what made you into a content creator prior to anything like YouTube or anything like that. Let's really kind of dig deep a little bit if you don't mind.
All right. So this is a wild kind of how did this even happen kind of thing. And
shout out to your dad, by the way, for being the GOAT and getting you all this stuff to transform you into who you are today. That is, I mean,
my dad was an amazing man.
I tell you what,
an amazing man.
That right there is something you'll never forget.
No. And
something that, I mean, the only memory I have, like I have very few memories with my dad. Wasn't around a whole lot, but he is one of the reasons I got big into gaming. I remember he actually gave me the copy of Justice League for Sega. Remember that game with long hair Superman and all that stuff. You had the Flash. It was a 2D fighter game. It was really it was pretty cool.
Yes,
but the things that your dad did to help you, get into gaming, the kind of mindset that he gave you to, there's other things other than just the super duper popular stuff.
Right.
There's other things that could really take a hold of you and show you a different side to something that you absolutely love. That's genius. That's genius.
Yeah.
He said, "You, sir, cannot bandwagon. You're doing this.
You're doing this." But
I just wanted to shout that out, though.
Yeah, he always thought differently. No. So, Eternal Champions on Sega CD, I have that, and I have most of these. Burning Rangers, I have Joanna Dark. Virtual On, I still have. The 4 series, I still don't. Marvel Capcom, I still have. I've got what I think is a phenomenal Saturn collection that is all original with a couple of exceptions. So I don't know that this would have happened had I not been doing what I was doing at the time. So I'm also a musician. So I was a piano player for most. I've been a piano player most of my life. I play keyboards, and I worked at a piano store selling pianos. And well, that's not an impulse buy. So there were many days that I spent for entire 8 to 10 hours, nobody around, just sitting by myself. And I could only play the piano for so long, So I started to bring my Saturn in because there was a computer monitor there that had the requisite input. So I'd bring my Saturn in and I'd play. And I'll never forget it. In order to communicate with the home office, the store was outfitted with a 56K modem. And I would go on and I figured out how to find IRC chats and things like that. So I could go on and I could talk about video games with other people. And I could see what other people are doing. I could play with it. And at the time I had a Netlink, which my Netlink's over there somewhere. So I was like playing Duke Nukem and Virtual On and games like that. I have the Netlink version of Sega Rally, the Netlink version of Daytona, so I would hook up and play online with people, or modem to modem. So I was in a chat one day, and we were all chatting about, and this guy hits me up and says, "Hey, Sega's bringing out a new console, And I'm putting together a website, and I'm looking for people who might be interested in writing articles about it. And I thought, I mean, I'm not a writer. I'm not a journalist. I'm not, but he reached out to me, and he said, "You seem to play a lot. You know a lot. Would you like to come and do some writing for me?" And I'm like, "Well, I got a lot of free time on my hands, so yeah, sure, why not?" And so it was a site called Dreamcast HQ, and it was small, but I started to research the system. I started to look around and start to get information about it. And at one point, I forgot how this happened because this was so long ago. I ended up getting information for Sega themselves. And I wrote them an email, because I had email back then. It was very primitive, but I had it. And I said, a couple of people are putting together a site. I'm going to join it and do some writing for it. How do I get information from you guys? How can I get, press releases on the things you're going to do and stuff like that? And I ended up getting in with their third-party PR folks. And I started to talk to them a lot. And then I got a new job working for what used to be U.S. Food Service in their IT department. So I still had some time on my hands, and I started to look into getting a Dreamcast. And so I pre-ordered an import, and then out of the blue, I got an email from my Sega rep and said, "Hey, we really like what you guys are doing, and we really like what you do, and we think that a Dreamcast-centric site would be really good for doing exactly that, for reviewing stuff, for, so how would you like to start reviewing Sega games?" Well, yeah, of course.
Right.
So what they ended up sending was a game and a system disk for my Dreamcast. So the system disk was a boot disk, and they sent a burn of a game and said, "Now you need to put this disk in first, boot it up, open the door, put the second game in, close it up, and it'll boot." And I was like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." And so we started reviewing games. And after a while, other third-party people started to see what we were doing, and they were like, "Oh, wait, you have a system disk? Oh, here, let me send you some stuff." If you give me a second, actually, I do have it back here. I don't have many of the old burned games anymore, but I can show you what one looks like. So what Sega used to send was something like this, or third parties would send these as well. So this is a gigadisc, because that's what they had at the time. So Dreamcast used gigabyte discs. It was a little bit more than CDs, not as much as DVDs. And so this is South Park Rally by Acclaim.
Wow.
I got it really tight with Acclaim. I mean, really tight, to the point to where I got some I got in so tight with their PR folks that when they closed, I was one of the first ones they called. Like it was I still remember that phone call like it was yesterday. So I would we just keep going and going and going. And in 1998, right like when this was before I got the Dreamcast and before all that stuff. Because we had this website, CES was turning into this show called E3. And somebody said, hey, we should go to that. And at the time, because we had a website, we were writing things. We were, right? We were considered media. It was the first time I had ever been considered a member of the gaming press. And we got in. And we got to go and talk to Sega. I'm like, holy crap.
That's insane.
I still have my and this is how unprepared I was because I had that meeting before here. I still have my 1999 E3 hat that I got that I still wear from time to time. And up until 2001 when Sega dropped the Dreamcast, I was strictly doing Sega stuff. And I hear it, and I can share my screen. Shout out to the Internet Wayback Machine. It's called archive.org. The site was called Dreamcast HQ, and it was the site was dreamcast-hq.net. And I don't know if you guys can see this or not.
Let me go to no. Oh wait, yeah, they might be able to see that. It's kind of small, but yeah, I mean, you can see the thing, yeah, for sure.
So this
okay, you're sharing a different screen now. You're sharing.
Oh, sorry.
The podcast.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I was trying to see if boy, that worked. So this was our site, and let me blow this up a little bit, make it a little bit better. And this was me back then in January 18th, 2000. Right? Oh, yeah. So this was. I had to stop for a second and give many thanks to the excellent PR department at Ubisoft. We'll have a full review of Speed Devils, which I still have the shirt for that I still wear. They gave me a review copy of Monaco Grand Prix, and a roadside assistance kit, which I don't have anymore. But I was getting in with these PR people because I was going to E3 representing this site. So when Sega dropped and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, Joanna Dark used to ring. Oh, my
That's
man.
awesome.
So this was me. This was stuff that I don't know if this was I think this was the pre. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of this stuff. Some of this stuff they don't have. They only archive so much stuff. But I used to. I mean, again, these were things that we did. This was Matt. This was another writer. We had this thing going. So when the Dreamcast had kind of died or was going to die, I got together with a couple of people from there and said, yeah, see, here I was, my review editor. I was the old fogey of the bunch then too. I was the oldest guy. So
That's fantastic.
Chris Siegman was the owner. He's the guy who created the whole thing. I came on as one of the senior editors. Jeremy was an editor. Chris was an editor. And then I got together with Chris and said, hey, Dreamcast HQ is going to die out. What we could do one of two things. We could either call it a career, or we could create a multi-platform site. I've got some contacts. Microsoft had made games on the Dreamcast, and they were responsible for part of the OS. I have somebody I could talk to there. maybe we go multi-platform. We'll cover the that upcoming Xbox, where all this stuff. And so Chris and we found one other guy who liked Nintendo. His name was Sean. And we created Next Level Gaming. And the Next Level part came from Welcome to the Next Level. Hold on. It came from Sega. So we kind of derived our up and coming new little website, Next Level Gaming, from our time at kind of garnering the Ubisoft, the Konami, the Microsoft context, and Sega was going to go multi-platform, so Sega was going to support the Xbox. So we created this site, and I had somebody that built this design for us, and I began to. So 2000, I went to E3. 2001, I went to E3. Started, and in 2001, started kind of garnering a little bit of momentum towards building this site. 2002, I unfortunately had to skip E3 because, well, I got married during the week after. So E3 was in May back in that time, not in June. So I got married on May 26, 2002. The E3 was the week before that. And it was the only year I missed because my wife said to me, I know how important that is for you. I'm not going to ask you to not go because I know what this work means to you. But I am only concerned and maybe a little worried that you might get stuck in LA. I don't want you to, something will happen and you'll get stuck in LA for a week. And I remember having this conversation at the dinner table. I had my parents over. And it was my father that turned to me and said, looked it dead in the eye and said, this is why you're not going. And I said, that is why I'm not going. So that same dad, my same dad was very much looking out for my wife. So that's the year I didn't go. But what it ended up happening was all of that I garnered during Dreamcast HQ began to pay off. I got an Xbox that could play preview and review code. Sony started to take notice. So they started sending us review games, like box games. Third parties were sending us copies of games to review. So we had, I don't know how, and again, shout out to the Internet Wayback Machine because I could not believe how much of our site they cached. Here were some of our reviews that we did. I had a gentleman, Kevin, me, Ed, Ato. We all worked this together. And then we had an entire European division with Mark and John. So let's see if this, I don't know if this is going to work or not.
Wow, man, this is some crazy history, man.
Here, look at this. From 2002, I was reviewing World Series baseball back then, right? And I still have all the pictures and stuff. Some of the links don't work, but you could see all the things that we did. And we were still heavily in with Sega. We were doing all this work. And so at some point we started to really snowball in our views. So I don't know if you ever remember. Oh, yeah. I was in the Xbox Live beta, and I got into that beta. See, not all of these work, unfortunately, because they didn't cache everything. But I got into the Xbox Live beta because I was in with, because I had a PR rep at Sega, so they're like, "Oh yeah, of course." And so we covered that stuff. At some point, I don't know, if you remember, Mr. Joanna Dark might remember. Does anybody in chat remember a company called UGO? There was IGN, GameSpot, all that stuff. There was a kind of a multi-platform conglomerate. It was almost like a site, but they had affiliates called UGO. We got in with them, and let me see how far this goes. This is still 2002. We redesigned our site, and we became a UGO affiliate. And let me tell you, that opened up doors that was even more than what we had. We started covering PC. We started covering Game Boy. We were still covering Dreamcast because there were still a couple Dreamcast games out there. And we had pulled over all of our stuff from Dreamcast HQ. We were allowed to take our reviews with us. We started covering PlayStation. We started covering. And so what we would do is, let me come up to about here. Let me come up to into 06. We started writing about our E3 experience. We started to get invited to the press conferences. I would get invited to the Microsoft press conference. Sean would get invited to the Nintendo press conference. Chris would get invited to the PlayStation press conference. And so we would start covering E3 in much more detail than we ever did. And so companies were taking notice of the fact that back then, in order for you to really get where you were, you had to give companies numbers. You had to give them Alexa scores, and you had to give them, like, we had a hit tracker that was kind of an industry standard hit tracker that could track how many hits and views your site was getting. We were getting the same traffic as the big guys.
That's insane.
I was like, this can't be right. There's got to be something wrong with our numbers, right? We were pulling in numbers.
Who's fudging the numbers?
Right. Because it was,
who brought all the bots?
It was actually I had a really good contact at EA, and I'd send the numbers over, and she'd call me up and she said, Mike, I don't know if you know this or not. She said, are you sending me your numbers? I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? Why would I send you somebody else's numbers?
Right.
And she said, I'm not supposed to do this, but I want to send you something. And she sent me back an email with IGN's numbers. And she said, you're only about 50 to 100,000 views off of them. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so EA supported us highly. I have PSP, and I still have them. I got little PSP preview code games because I was really heavy into PSP. I really love the PSP. But we were doing like we got behind closed doors. I don't know if let's see if this still works. EA in 2005 had a next gen lab set up behind closed doors. They brought us behind closed doors to see stuff. One of my most enjoyable things was going back and playing the Halo 2 multiplayer behind closed doors and getting the rundown from what was his name? Shoot. I got Marty O'Donnell on the brain, and there's the other guy with the O in his name. He was ahead of Bungie. He's still at 343. But starting to go behind the scenes and getting behind things and seeing stuff that I was just blown away. Interviews with the guys who did the commentary for the Sega Sports games, the guys, the Dan Stevens and Peter O'Keefe guys.
Right. Yeah.
And then having them record for me a bumper that we used to play. Because we used to do cool little things like before YouTube, we stored videos on our server so that you could download. but we also could play audio. So like when you did when a NLG, I had NLG Sports. So when we ever did a sports review and we did it as NLG Sports, I had NLG Sports music that would play when you brought the link up. We were doing stuff that nobody else is doing, but it was driving traffic. And so that's how that's how I met Peter Moore, was at Sega. And then he remembered me throughout that whole time. A couple of us went out to New York to an Xbox 360. Let me see if I can, to an Xbox 360 launch event. Trying to think if I can get a little farther ahead here. And, I had dinner with Peter Moore and Shane Kim, who Shane Kim at the time was the head of Microsoft Studios. And so this whole thing just kept snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. Yeah, here we go. Mike and Dan invade the Big Apple in New York City to get our first real time. This was in October 2005. And of course, again, I have the pictures, but the links don't show up in here. But I did a whole write-up on this thing. And the games we played, like stuff that people didn't even get to see, right? And then just hanging out with with Peter Moore. So I mean, these are things that Next Level Gaming gave me 2 more box quotes, not big games, like kind of smaller games. There was a game called Chase Hollywood, which was kind of like a driver kind of game. And there was a game called Downforce, which was a PlayStation racing game, Formula 1 game. And I got 2 more box quotes there. But then one of my let me see if it's here. I got to be in MLB 2K7. I don't know if it's going to be in here. It may not be. They may not have gotten that far. Let's see. My 2K rep had called me up and he said, "Mike, I need to ask your permission for something, but I can't tell you what it is." I'm like, okay. He said, "All I need you to do is just say yes." "What are you getting me into, Anthony?" "I can't tell you this. I just need you to say yes." "Okay. All right. Fine. Yes." "Great. All right. Damn, it's not here. All right, but I'll show you something while I'm pulling this up." He said, "I just send me a picture of you, like a good picture of you. What are you doing?" I said, I just need you to trust me on this." And so I did. So he called me. He sent over a preview code of a review code of MLB 2K7 with a note. I wish I still had that note. Inside the box, I still have the note that just says Derek Jeter. But he sent me a note in the review code box and said, "Call me." So I call him. And he said, "Okay, I sent you this code. I want you to put this code in." "Okay, cool. Let's see if this comes up. Go to the 1988 LA Dodgers. Okay. Now I want you to start a game." So I start a game. Let's see if this is showing up. Here we go. He said, "What do you see?"
You asking me? Oh, okay. Wait a second. Oh,
Uh-huh.
no.
I'm like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" He said, "Nope." It's like, I'm like, and that's as close to, he said, I couldn't put your actual picture up. So we got somebody that looked close to you. I had this at the time. He's like, that's as close as I could get without actually being able to put your picture on. He said, "That's you." And he said, "Go ahead, play the game." So I did. Let me see. And so, see if I can switch it. So there I am in the game. But what got me, and anybody out there that has MLB 2K7, this is not like a roster update. This is not if you have the PlayStation version, the GameCube version, or the Xbox version, I'm in there. The stadium announcer says my name when he calls me in if I'm relief pitching or if I come to the plate. And this is kind of very touching for me. John frickin' Miller says my name in this game. John Miller was the voice of the Baltimore Orioles for a long time. And as a Baltimorean, I am an Orioles fan through and through since I was a young kid. I grew up listening to John Miller on the radio. To have John Miller say my name was the pinnacle of all the hard work I'd ever put in. And what I need to do is I need to get upstairs with my capture card, and I need to capture that so people could see it. But that was like my coolest moment that I could think of.
That's freaking insane.
But these are the relationships that I had culminated. And I still talk to some of these people today. My Microsoft rep at the time who got me into Xbox and then got me that debug Xbox 360 so I could preview Xbox games and stuff like that. His name is Arnie Meyer. Awesome guy. He's actually the PR head of Naughty Dog right now. He's the executive vice president of public relations for Naughty Dog. So shout out to Arnie. Without Arnie Meyer, I would not be doing this today. Just straight up, because Microsoft took us seriously. And when Microsoft took us seriously, all of a sudden, Sony took us seriously. And then finally, Nintendo had always been bad with PR. Sean hounded them enough that Nintendo started to take us seriously. So I owe a lot to Microsoft for taking us seriously enough that they drove a lot of that traffic. I know I've met and I still kind of know. I don't talk to him as much anymore because he's big time now with Microsoft. But I've known Pete Hines. I met Pete Hines in 1999. He was with Bethesda then. Gave me a copy of a Dreamcast game that never came out. I still have it. It's a bowling game. And I kind of talked to him throughout the years. It was really funny when I was during one of the Bethesda shows.
That's disrespectful.
I know. Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. I had tweeted at him because they announced Prey 2, and I had always knew they were going to announce a new Prey. Well, it wasn't Prey 2; it was a new Prey, and I was like, Prey 2, huh, Pete? And he's out on stage doing the presentation for his Bethesda show at E3, and all of a sudden we're doing the live show, and I'm like, and I get this ding on my phone, and it's Pete. Shut up, Mike. You know it's not Prey 2. And I'm like, showing it on screen. I'm like, yeah, Pete's tweeting at me from backstage.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, but I mean, again, here's the thing. And let me the reason I love talking about the past is because that was my time in the sun, right? I've had those great moments, the box quotes, the interviews with Itagaki, Tomonobu Itagaki-san, being able to meet guys in the industry, having people remember me, having people. I used to hang out with the Activision guys a ton. Todd Hollinshead, Tim Willett when they were at id from there. We'd go out at E3 and party. I mean, that was the cool stuff. But that was my time in the sun, right? I can't do that stuff anymore, right? I could, Peter Moore doesn't talk to me anymore like he used to, because I'm not in that realm anymore. I'm a YouTube person who does this once a week. I don't have the time anymore to invest in that. Life just, I had to give up being a game journalist when my oldest son turned 2. And it was, I had a full-time job because this thing didn't pay. We got ad revenue. We got pop-up ads. That's how we made money to keep the site co-locate. We had a server. This was before you could do virtual and WordPress and blogs and stuff like that. We actually had to have a server. I actually had to code the site from, ASP script and SQL. And I had that kind of background. We stored all of our videos on that server. We had to co-locate that thing for like $100 a month. All of our money we ever made in pop-up ads all went back into the site. None of us drew any money. And then whatever was left over is what we used to go to E3. I mean, I took a contingent every year of 3 to 4 people because we went. I mean, we didn't go to play. We went to cover. I always talk about E3. E3 was not a fun trip for me. It was cool, but it wasn't fun. I didn't go out and just run around the game floor. I actually never got onto the floor to play stuff. I was in meetings from morning to evening with PR people, making sure that we saw stuff behind the scenes that was cool. I never got to play half the stuff that I saw, but we had to keep our connections with the companies so they would continue to support us later. I sacrificed not getting out on the game floor to play games so that we get the review copies and the preview code later on, so we'd have the private time with it. So E3 was a work event for me, and we took that stuff seriously. I only missed that 1 year to get married, and even then, my wife was very much willing to let me go. Yeah, I did. I got sweaty. I got tired. Jago, you're not kidding, man. I mean, and we went. It was one after another, after another, after another, after another. They were all between 45-minute and hour meetings, and I had to go and walk across and back across the North Hall to the South Hall. It was nonstop. I didn't get to do any writing until the evenings. And back then, hotel internet was garbage, absolute garbage. So a lot of times what we would do is we'd be able to put up what we could, and then we would just preload all of our stuff, write everything like on the plane ride home, and just keep writing stuff for the next 2 weeks after. And so our E3 coverage lasted longer than just a day because we had to come home and keep plowing away at all the stuff we took. I didn't have a cell phone camera I could do. We didn't have stuff like that. I had to carry a camcorder. I got B-reel cassettes that I had to come home and record off of to get footage. Back then you didn't have digital assets like you do now. I had literally walked around like this, taking video of games because that's all you could do.
Right.
So it was a great time. It was a great time in my life, and it is a part of my life that I will never lose. And it does somewhat drive what I do now with the channel, because I always want to talk about what's going on in the industry, and I continue to try to get people in the industry. Unfortunately, and I don't know why this happened, we got ghosted by the creator, the head of Apogee. I had him all set to come on a couple weeks ago, and he just ghosted us, and I don't know why. But we've had, we've had industry guests on our channel, Tommy Tallarico, Mike Micah from Digital Eclipse, who's a good friend of mine. Chris Charles has been on our channel. We've had independent developers on our channel. Ed Annunziata, who was the creator of Echo the Dolphin. I've had Greg Thomas, the creator of Toe Jam and Earl.
Man, that's awesome.
And those are things that are immortalized. That's what's cool, is they're immortalized on our channel. I love to go back sometimes and even watch those, because they were crazy times. And I've continued to make friendships. Like I say, if you had told me 20 years ago that I'd be friends with Tommy Tallarico, one of my idols as a musician, I'd have told you were nuts. But here we are. So, I mean, those kind of things have driven what I do today in trying to just, yes, I like to be positive. But like with the Redfall stuff today, I also am objective, right? I've given a lot of smoke to Sony over this Activision stuff. But there are times when Sony definitely knocks it out of the park. And when they do, I'm positive about it, right? I'm positive about Xbox. Absolutely. People know that's primarily where I game. But I have to, there's always that part of me that always sees, I always go back, and I've got this thing saved. One day I saw Jason Schreier, who I have zero respect for, put up on his Twitter feed before he blocked me that journalists should not be objective. And every time that I feel like I slip into a mode of not fanboyism, but where I get too comfortable in letting things slide, or giving praise where it's not due, or criticizing when it shouldn't be, I always go back to, I pull that quote up and I say to myself, that's not who I am. That's not who I ever was. And archive.org, you can see all the stuff I've ever written. When it was a review, absolutely I'd review. That's subjective. But if I wrote news articles, it was objective. I took an objective look at what was going on. And most of the time, we just repurposed press releases and just said, you tell us how you feel. I don't want to tell you how I feel about this. That's not what you're coming here for, unless you're looking at my reviews. You want to know what's going on in the industry. You want to see the previews, but you want to know what's going on in the industry. And I'm not going to tell you how to think. Whenever I slip into that, the channel's a little different. The NLG show's a little different. We give our opinions, but I will always give an objective opinion. Always. If I see something that needs to be addressed, like I did with the Redfall stuff today, I don't want to belabor on that, but that's why I said, fam, the negativity here is justified. Here's why. And it's okay to say this. It's objective. It's an objective opinion. It's not me picking up the pom-poms for Microsoft. God knows. I'm surprised surprised I wasn't called a pony today. Because that has happened. I have been called an X-bot. I've been called a pony, which tells you that I'm doing it right, because I can't please anybody. Because I'm objective. I am not going to compromise my principles simply for that. There's one thing that, and you gave me a great compliment on Twitter today. You gave me a wonderful compliment at the beginning of this show. And it means a lot to me, Ham. It really does. Because one of the things that I hold in my highest regard is trust. You may not like what I have to say sometimes. I might say something that, Chris and I are gonna have a discussion about Redfall on Tuesday. It's coming. But you know what? There's never been a time that Chris or anybody has ever been able to say, I don't trust that guy, Mike. And there's the people that I associate myself with are people that I would look at and go, there's not a time when I could say, I don't trust that guy. If I can't trust you, I don't want you around. And if you can't trust me, that hurts me on a personal level. And that's maybe why it gets me in trouble, because I'm trusting first. I'm a trust first person, and I give a lot of people benefit of doubt, and I've been burned. I've been burned. All I have to do is say the word in television amico, and there's an entire set of people who I used to trust that have burned me on that. But you know, it is my nature, and I try to see the good in everybody, and I try to see the good in what's going on. No, even I might be upset with what's going on with Redfall, but I'm still a gamer, and I'm still proud to be a gamer. I'm not walking away from gaming because, I might adjust my gaming a little bit, but I'm still proud to be a gamer, and I'm still proud to call people that I disagree with friends and brothers and family, because that's what we're also not an echo chamber, and we shouldn't be. So for me, I feel like people who are who they are. One of the other things that I pride myself in is that, um, oh, what's up, brother? Bacon Ice Cream Productions, brother Rich, another incredible guy, um, and a member of our guild. And you want to talk about positive, man. Please go check out Bacon Ice Cream Productions, please. Um, I what was I saying? I get distracted by helping other people. Um, what was I saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's that?
What was I saying? What was I?
Or you were saying like, I mean, you were talking about. I got kind of thrown off when you mentioned bacon a little bit.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, I got thrown off when you mentioned him a little bit, but let's see. I mean, you were more or less talking about like the whole Redfall thing and gamers still being gamers and all that. Yeah,
we're we're not an echo chamber. We're not, but we're also very respectful of each other. That's what kind of bothered me about a couple things I saw today online. People calling people crybabies, people calling people, just shut up and deal with it. That's not us. That's not how we should be. And I try very hard not to do that. Like you have to, thank you, Yobi. I am too trusting sometimes. And what I'll,
me too. That's probably why you're, that's probably what attracted me to you, because I could feel that same type of energy where it's just like, man, he really reminds me of like what I kind of want to be and want to do, like with the stuff and the history and things that you've done. Like it's very idolizing.
Oh, please don't say that.
I don't care. I don't care what you say, Mike. I don't care. I don't care what you say, Mike.
Oh no.
It is. No. Stop interrupting me, bro. Stop interrupting me. I'm telling you, whether you like it or not. I mean, I idolize people like my brother. I idolize great friends that bring me positivity. So like, whether I've met a person, I've met you in person or not, energy is still conveyed and it's still received. And if that's received properly and it's conveyed properly, and a door opens called trust. You believe in what you hear, you believe in what you see. And what I'm seeing is a person that doesn't change for anybody, doesn't bandwagon for the moment because it's a hot topic. A person that is willing to disagree when it's super unpopular. I'm one of those people. And when I see somebody else doing it, it gives me respect. When I am able to converse with that person, it brings on an extra level of respect. When that person goes out of the way to hold me up higher, it gives me immense respect. And the way that you introduced me when I first came to your podcast was something I'd never had before. Something that it felt very home-like. I really respect K Mega as well for a lot of the similar things. He's a guy that really helped me drive into podcasting even harder than I thought I was able to do. He put me on a stage and said, "Be here every week." He put me out there. So I'm giving my flowers to him. And I don't care what you say, Mike. I don't care. That kind of stuff needs to be known so people don't get it fucked up. I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
No, I'm just extremely humbled. Like that, it's just outright humbling. And one of the things that I do pride myself on is that when we meet in person, and I try to break bread with as many people as possible, I am the same person that you see face to face. Like I always say, if you can't be that same person within arm's length of the other person, that you shouldn't be within arm's length. I'm the same guy off camera that you meet, you have dinner with, that you break bread with, that you game with, that I am on camera. I'm not a persona, just like you're not a persona. And that's one of the things.
I'm just as boring live as I am I am in real life. Well, that's just
You got Seamus freaking Blackley on this show, man. I idolize you. I have such immense respect for it, and that's why it was very easy to, the whole premise of the Gamers United Guild sums up for me in a couple of things. One, a community that can be a place for people to go to get away from the, what they call the crumb side, right? The nonsense, right? The fanboy console war bullshit. We're a co-op of great people of all game genres and backgrounds and origin stories and where we started up in gaming and where what we do and what we like and we're so I hate to use buzzwords like diverse, but it is such a diverse set of things. Like just as you saw it in our Twitter DM we have for the guild. Rich, Bacon Ice Cream Productions said, "Yeah, you want to see some completely dead gamer tags and stuff. I'll give you my gamer tag." But that man is the foremost expert on the Evercade, the handheld Evercade, and the Sega Master System, right? And things like that, and the Atari VCS, which is where I got some of my VCS love from. We have Jago, who's part of Retro Renegades, which is just they're not even a show. They don't like to be called a podcast. They're just chilling. They're just chilling. You guys that do these awesome interviews with industry people. Again, let me say it again. Seamus Blackley. And you've had some amazing. You had my brother Jeff Sincere on couple weeks ago.
Sincere's dope, man.
That's my boy. And again,
nice dude.
I've met him in person. We walked around, him and me, my oldest son and his wife walked around Too Many Games together. We watched epic rap battles of history to a concert at Too Many Games together, hanging out. That's what we do. And so the whole premise of the guild for me is a rising tide lifts all boats. If I could have gotten, which thankfully they did, 5 people to come check your channel out and to see what the good stuff you do and go, you know what? I need to watch more of this. That helps. That makes me feel good, right? if I could get 2 or 3 people to go over to Rich's channel, Bacon Ice Cream Productions, and just check him out and go, hey, I didn't realize that he covered Master System. I like the Sega Master System. I need to subscribe to his channel. I feel that that's what I want to see. You know, I've had my time. And that's the thing too. I've had all this time in the sun. I don't need, that's why I say it. I'm humbled, Ham. I really am. I'm humbled. I'm not looking to be, you know, the joke is I'm the head of the Gamers United Guild. Axel calls me the Grand Negus for anybody who does Star Trek. You know, I'm the Grand Negus of the Gamers United Guild. I don't even want to be. I want to be the guy that helps everybody else. Like I'm at my best when I'm
that's management, Mike.
I know.
That is management.
Well,
what you just said is I don't want to be a manager. I want to be a manager.
What it is, it's actually, it's servant leadership is what it actually is. It's but it's you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm an executive at my company where I'm at now. I understand that principle. We are successful. The guild is successful when everybody is successful. And if I can help somebody, I've had people come to me and say, how do you do your show? And I'll walk people through how I do OBS. You and I'm going to help you. This Skype thing, I hope, has been helpful for you.
That'd be fantastic.
I'm gonna help you with that because why wouldn't I? If it makes your show better and it helps bring people in because your production value. First off, your production value is off the chain as it is. Like I love,
which is insane to hear from you and Bacon in the chat. Bacon just said like, "Oh man, I like your setup." Man,
your setup is awesome.
I'm like a year and a half into figuring any of this stuff out. I'm doing 90% of this on the fly.
Dude, I would love to be able to do what you do on the fly. I'll take your on the fly. What you like this screen is really cool. I had to go back and look at it again, and we'll get, and it won't be hard to get the NDI thing working. And then once you do, man, it's just gonna be better. It'll be it won't necessarily be better on the, what it'll be is more manageable for you. Like you won't have to sit here and go, oh, okay, how do I get this? You'll be able to set up in a snap, right? Which will, it is the one thing that I like about how I've got our show set up. I can bring somebody in and pop them in with no problem. If they leave, I can pop them out no problem and switch to another scene. And those are things that I am all about helping other people do. And if somebody, you guys in the chat, don't think I don't see what you're saying. Jago, I love you guys. You do humble me. And don't think that I don't appreciate that. I want NLG to be a success, not for me, for Peter and Chris, right? Peter and Chris they put their Tuesday nights in too, right? When they're tired and they don't want to do anything, when Chris has to get up at 5 a.m, Central Time, but still hammers on when it's midnight my time, and I'm going, damn it, I needed to get us out of here a half hour ago. And he's like, don't worry about it, I got it. These guys put in the work, they put in the time. Peter and Chris both help stream. I want some success for them. I can point to what I've done. I can point to what I'm doing now. I don't need the accolades from outside. I know what I've done, and I've enjoyed it. And my love now is watching other people come up. Is watching other people like you, Ham, watching you guys develop and put on these insanely great shows that I'm absolutely humbled and blessed to have gotten asked to be on. And the fact that you had this pencil me in. So let's tell everybody the truth. When you asked me to be on, you said, all right, but I don't have a hole in the schedule for like a month and a half. You know what that tells me? People want to be on this show with you. That these people you're interviewing, the Seamus Blackleys, want to be here. And let me tell you, that is impressive. And that shows what your worth is as a content creator, as a host, as an interviewer, and it's somebody that people want to be on. I will say that one of the greatest thrills I do get, and I will say this, is when we've had this phenomena where people go, hey, Mike, you got room for me tonight? Hey, how do we get on the show? You know, for every one of the Scott Millers that blows us off, my buddy Rick Lagnese from Fexter Life, who used to be the PR guy for Warhorse Studio. I'm
having Rick on, actually.
Are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me check this out, actually. Let me look at my calendar. I got
texting him right now.
I got Rick coming on. Let's see.
I'm texting my boy right now. That is outstanding. Man. That's awesome.
Okay, I was looking at May. I was like, what the hell is going on here? I was looking at the wrong month. No, I got Rick coming on the 27th. I got Lord Cognito coming on.
There you go.
Next Thursday. So stay tuned, y'all.
Hold on. I'm texting Rick now. What day are you coming on?
Rick is coming on the 27th.
Oh.
Yeah, I already reached out to him.
Nice. That's what a great guy, man. We met him when he was doing PR for Warhorse, and he was promoting Kingdom Come Deliverance. And now he works for Fexter Life. Hey, what's up, Hasselhoff? There's a great guy too, Brother Hasselhoff.
Oh, there he is. What's up?
Hasselhoff, who by the way ruined the secret of us asking you to get out of the guild. I remember that night.
Yeah.
I remember that night. I'm like, no, Ixnay, we haven't asked you yet. It's so funny. Oh my God.
I'm not going to lie. Lemon was talking to me about it in the background though. And you know
excellent.
that.
I know that. And I wanted him to be on when I asked you. It was hard to get him to get our time sync, but Lemon's the one who brought you to us, and I thank him for that all the time. I mean, I'm so happy to have you as part of our guild. I mean, but so again, you got Rick coming, right? And man, that's going to be a great show. I can't wait to listen to that. But the fact that you had to get me in far down the line, and you've got guests all the way down. How far do you got guests out to? Be honest.
Till June.
Till June. You've got guests for the next month and a half set. That's amazing. And I don't want to be scrambling last minute, man. No, but that is,
I don't want them scrambling either.
That is, but that again. Now I get to idolize you, because that's what it's about, and that shows what you are, and how successful you are becoming, and man, that's awesome. And I get that same feeling when people want to come on and be on with us. That we've had this phenomenon, like I said, where people are like, "Hey, how do we get on your show?" Like Sir X. X was like, we had him on once, and then he DM'd me and said, I'm going to be laid up for a little while with my foot. Can I be a regular? How does that happen? And so I feel good when people come and do that, and to watch guys like you have this lineup that you're just booking and booking and booking and booking, and they're coming and they're coming and they're coming. Man.
TV Hasselhoff just asked, he said, I just noticed, how does TSWS Gaming only have 550 subs?
That's a great question.
And I answered with, I'm objective. Because I kiss no ass. I kiss no ass. I say
Right.
exactly what I want to say. People hop in and they're like, "Oh, that was not like exactly what I was looking for." Like I'm not gonna like I tell everybody, my main is Xbox, but I'm probably the hardest on Xbox too. Just like I am for my favorite college football team, which I'm a college football fan because I come from Nebraska. So Nebraska is the football squad, right? They haven't been good since the 90s. So I've been hot ever since the 90s. And I don't think a lot of people in gaming understand that, like, yo, like, you're not supposed to bash the other company. You're not even supposed to bash your own company. You're just supposed to stick. You're just supposed to let them know. When something ain't right, you let them know. You don't just keep saying, "Oh, it's okay. I'll take a pass on this. This isn't a problem. I see nothing wrong with this picture." No. I'm going to be objective in my own way, and I might be wrong, but I don't give a damn. I'm wrong every day about something. So, like, I just don't care. And I hope that, you know, I mean, of course, I hope my channel rises and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I had a pretty rough week, if I'm gonna be honest. I had a stream just a few days ago where I about lost my damn mind. I mean, I was super sad in that stream, and it was visible. And that's just who I am, man. I just can't, I can't help to not be who I am. I like to joke, I like to BS, I like to push some buttons, but it's in respect. I don't mess with people that I'm going to push buttons on and they're literally going to get mad. Like, that's not my prerogative. I'm not out here trying to make anybody mad. I'm out here just doing what I enjoy. And it's that simple.
And it's that simple. It's that simple. And that's all it should be. When this becomes a job or a grind, that's when it's time to walk away from it. Right now, I mean, this is still for me 7 years in. 7 years? Let's see. 2015, 60, 70. It'd be 8 years in holy crap. I'll have been on the air 8 years in July. Or in June rather.
Thanks, fuck you.
It's still fun for me. And I still know that no matter what goes on during my week, no matter how bad my week has been, no matter how rough my weekend's been, no matter what my mood is, I know that on Tuesday nights at 9:30, I get to hang out with my boys and we get to talk. And we get a chat room full of guys like you have in your chat.
Just people being respectful, man.
That just want to come in and talk games. And you know what? They don't often, let me just say that. They don't always agree with each other, right? They don't always agree with us. Sometimes we get a guest that rattles people a little bit. I know Brother Mav's been in our chat. We've had a couple people on and he just like shakes his head about. But it's never a thing where we are disrespectful to each other. We're having fun. And then I game with these people. Hasselhoff. I've met Hasselhoff many times. I've seen him. The man actually came to see me once to deliver.
Did you see him on the Baywatch set? Is
yes.
that where you see him?
Yeah, he was there. But man. I mean, you know, he's been to my house. I mean, this is the stuff that we do. You know, it's not clichéic that I call people brother or sister. It's not just because that's just yes, it's a little bit of my thing, but it comes because I have such love for everybody that's in my circle. You don't get to just be, you know, Brother X, Brother Ham, Brother Mav, Brother Chris, Brother Peter, Sister Trinity. You don't, that's not something that just comes with everybody. You have to earn that from me. But once you do, one of the other things that my dad was very good at was being loyal. And he would do anything for you. He'd do anything for you. And he would do it without the front-facing need for accolades. Like, he was always more a kingmaker than he was a king. And I try to be like that too. But if you crossed him or his family or his friends, you were dead to him. And I do carry some of that trait too. And unfortunately, I have had to do that with some people.
Exercise that a little bit.
I've had to exercise that a little bit. It's unfortunate. I've had to exercise that with, unfortunately, former NLG people, with people again that have been part of this whole Intellivision Amico thing, who I would, and I'm not going to use any names, but who I trusted, broke bread with, that I had to cut out of my life because they turned out not to be the people that you think they are. That's where I get burned from being too trusting. And so if you cross me or my friends or my family, you're out. And when you're out, it's very difficult to get back in. Very difficult. It's happened once or twice. It's very difficult. And so, it's just the way I feel like that's how you should be, right? You trust people, you allow them to show you who they are, you keep the good ones, and you push out the bad ones. So that's right. That's what I said. I brought Mike baked goods, so he cut me some slack. He did. He does.
Hey, baked goods always make people happy, though.
So Jews like to eat. Now he does. He brings some great stuff. He brings some great stuff from the Amish country, I have to say. But I'll take. Yeah, it sucks that you have to exercise that sometimes, but every day
it's healthy though.
It's healthy, real. And I would rather be trust first than be closed off, because I think when you do that, yeah, I have to jettison somebody once in a while, but I've brought in more people than I've pushed out, and that circle of mine has gotten larger, and it's gotten larger with the right people, and I'm not sorry for that, and I'll never be sorry for that, because in the end, I've met people like you. I've met people like Peter and Chris and Hasselhoff and Jago, and Rich, and Graphic God, Jay, and Carlo, and Nintendo slander and all. I've met some incredible people, Lemon. And these are the people that I want to be around. Spooky and Trinity. These are people that I want to be around. And they're people that I want to have in my circle. So I'll take having to jettison some people that aren't the right fit.
Right back to Star Trek, the needs of the many, right?
Yes.
Or
the
gotcha. Yeah, the extreme few. So just to get ready to kind of close out, we've been here for about 2 hours, 40 minutes. And you guys in the chat have been spectacular. It's been a really fun show.
It has.
Other than the camera issues I've been kind of dealing with NVIDIA broadcast or NVIDIA or whatever you want to call it. I always screw up that damn name. But it's been really eye-opening to have you here on this show today. It's been an absolute pleasure, brother.
The pleasure is mine.
I have just a couple more questions that I
Fire
like
away.
to ask everybody before I jet off. And one of those is, what is your most exciting game in the future? And this is open-ended. So any game that has not came out yet.
Ooh, boy. Okay. Forza Motorsport is one. Starfield is one. Spider-Man 2. Those are my big three. My second tier, Hellblade's on my second tier.
I was going to say games without a release date. Let me see what you got.
Games without a release date. So Hellblade, Forza Motorsport. Those are my two big ones I can think of without a release date. I am very interested in. See, it's hard to be excited until I know what I'm seeing. Fable is in that.
I thought you were going to say Wolverine. Okay.
You know what? I'm not as big a Wolverine fan as others. It's not that I don't like. I don't say that to say I dislike Wolverine. I do. And it's going to be very fun to watch Hugh Jackman in Deadpool 3. I would say Avowed is something that's on my radar. Fable's on my radar. Perfect Dark is on my radar. I need to see more about that. I want to be excited for it. I am still a bit concerned over the issues at the Coalition.
The Initiative?
The Initiative, rather. I'm still a little concerned. I'd like to see something on Perfect Dark. I don't need a release date. I just need to see a slice of the game in action. And Hellblade 2 is definitely one that I've got some excitement for. Hellblade was a standout game for me. It came out of nowhere, and Hellblade 2 looks amazing.
Yeah, I see Mr. Joanna Dark down there listing off some
Death
games
Stranding
as well. Yeah, absolutely. So there's some really great games to look forward to that don't have release dates quite yet, all across the board. As for Nintendo, I'm not looking for a game release date anymore. I'm just looking for a system release date. I'm looking for a new console release date from them at some point. I think Tears of the Kingdom is going to be the last massive Nintendo game, in my opinion.
Maybe before. Well, don't forget
like,
they got
like Switch game. I mean,
you don't think so? You think Metroid Prime 4 is going to skip the Switch? I mean, they haven't talked about it since they announced it, but
I don't know, man.
They haven't said word one about Metroid Prime 4, and I am surprised that Metroid fans aren't going bat crap crazy over that, because
they just got a remaster, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's a remaster,
right? but that's like nap time, for some people, and you just go take a nap, and you'll be back up and mad in no time. like you'll be back up and waiting for some more news soon. But I think at least now that they got Metroid out and Tears of the Kingdom's on right around the corner, I think that kind of dociles some people for a little bit, at least with madness wise, just for a little bit. But going on to the next question. What 2 games? Oh, this one's fun. What 2 games would you revive that are dead IPs right now?
Ooh.
And put them on next-gen consoles?
Blinks, the Time Sweeping Cat is one.
Wow, that's a reach.
Don't even have to. And Sonic Adventure. We need a new Sonic Adventure. This Sonic nonsense that they're doing. I haven't even played
Frontiers.
Haven't played it.
Why not?
Because that to me is not Sonic. That's not Sonic. Sorry. No. Sonic is speed, and Sonic is no. So bring me a proper Sonic Adventure. So those are 2 right off the bat. I can name a few, but
I'll give you 2 more then.
All right. Mechasalt needs to return.
Wow.
Mechasalt is
it's a
dead.
Deep cut right there.
I know. That one. So
Mr. Joanna Dark, if you don't stop with your Code Veronica stuff, every podcast he throws it out. This is twice now. This podcast.
Nothing wrong with that, my man. Nothing wrong with that.
He is begging. He is begging
Nothing
on his knees for that game, man. Code Veronica got his knees right now for sure.
Oh, and I'm gonna go with one more. Project Gotham Racing needs to come back.
Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
right here.
Rich, yes, there we go.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, old school right there.
That's all right. And Rich in the chat, his is Berserk, although they're probably getting a new Berserk soon. I think we are. And a new Lunar. Oh, yes.
Oh man, Lunar. Mr. Joanna Dark just pulled on my heartstrings a little bit, bro. He said Eternal Darkness.
And Hasselhoff hit me too.
Love that game.
Crimson Skies. Oh my goodness. Brother Levin.
Good to see you up in here, Lemon.
Brother Levin's in the house. Oh man, Hasselhoff said Crimson Skies. Yes. Resistance. Yeah, hey.
Come on, PlayStation, figure it out. Resistance.
Oh, I totally forgot. Oh my God. But I would jump up. This would be my 3rd. Actually, it'd be my 2nd, right under Blinks. SOCOM. Bring back SOCOM. 100% that needs to come back.
So I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
All right, let's go.
I played SOCOM maybe twice. You know why?
Why?
Because I was in the Conflict Desert Storm.
Okay. I
totally different. Totally different.
But that's acceptable.
I played like all the conflicts. Conflict Desert Storm, Conflict Vietnam, back to Baghdad. There's like a Special Forces one as well, I believe. Yeah, man, I love the Conflict games, dude. Even though they had like the same 4 characters like every single time. It's like, how did this dude go from Desert Storm to freaking Vietnam? Like, I don't understand. How is Bradley still here? What's going on? But it was such a great game, man. I loved Conflict. And plus you could listen to your Xbox music while playing it. It was great.
Yep. Oh man, he's got the chat. Love this chat.
This is Joanna Dark with the Phantasy Star.
Resident
Parasite
Gamer says,
Eve.
hope that Jet Set Radio remake is real.
Right.
FarQ says
Let's go back to Jet Grind. Let's go back to Jet Grind Radio.
Jet Grind. I got that on Dreamcast. That's fantastic. My goodness. Bring me another Tenchu.
Activision Bliss. Let's go. I mean, I think the IP is owned by somebody else, but I know I'm not sure if it's owned by anybody else, but I think it is. But I know Activision published that game.
Tenchu is From Software.
There you go. I believe Activision did publish it.
Yes, Activision did publish it. I mean, while we're at it, you know, bring me another Ninja Gaiden.
Bring me another. Give me another. What is it called? Perfect Dark. Because right now I'm just starting to think the Perfect Dark that they're making is just that's just a pipe dream. It seems
I know.
like right now.
I feel like that's why I was saying I am concerned. I'm highly concerned. If we don't see anything at this upcoming not E3 showing,
Power Stone would be nice.
I would be very.
Aren't they working on another Power Stone? Possibly. Is anybody working on that?
Don't think so. That is Capcom.
Oh, right. So probably not.
Power Stone needs a comeback.
That would be super sick. Being able to run around like you could on there.
Oh my goodness.
Was insane. What up, Resident Gamer?
Link's Golf needs a comeback. Link's
wow, that's way back.
Link's needs a comeback.
Wasn't that like that was what, like original?
Well, there was, yes. It was OG, and it was part of XSN Sports. Link's 2004.
Yeah, they had a couple games. I think they had didn't they have a tennis game as well?
They had tennis, they had Top Spin, and even Rally Sport 2 was part of XSN.
Oh, right.
They had, and I know they won't come back, but Microsoft had a very capable football game in NFL Fever. Very capable.
Yeah, Peyton Manning.
Yep. NFL had that read and lead passing, which was unheard of at the time. They had the second.
Bam.
Yes.
Both of these suckers right here. You can't really see it. There's a light. But there you go.
04 with the read and lead passing. That was amazing at the time. Shoot. Link. Oh, they had the second best basketball game with NBA Inside Drive. They did. It just, I'm sorry, EA, NHL or NBA 2K, and then NBA Inside Drive, and then a distant third was NBA Live.
NBA Live was riding the coattails of like Sega and stuff like that, like Sega, and then like what is it, like PlayStation and 64 for a hot minute, and I remember like, was it Kobe's Courtside tried to compete at that time, and man, that was not a great game. I remember the Kobe's Courtside was something, or at least the version I played on it was. But yeah,
no, I mean they never said it publicly. I don't think I'm telling any tales here. I think this is more common sense. But, Microsoft sacrificed their sports lineup for EA. Everybody knows that, even though Microsoft would never admit to it. Peter Moore never admitted to it publicly. But if you remember, the same year that they were announcing that they were dropping their sports lineup is the same year you had Xbox Live 2.0 with EA. Because they knew, they watched EA destroy Sega. EA helped destroy Sega. Now Sega mostly destroyed themselves, right? They made so many mistakes with the Saturn. The Dreamcast was awesome, but they were bleeding money. The whole that whole thing. But EA had a big part in hurting Sega by not putting their games out on the Dreamcast.
Yep.
And telling Next Generation Magazine that their entire mission was to kill Sega, because they wanted to be top dog. They wanted to be the only company to put out. They wanted Madden to be just like now. They
Yeah,
wanted Madden
they
to be.
succeeded that one.
Yep. And at the time, Bernie's like, well, we just bought this visual concepts company and we're gonna put out a football game. You can't be the only football game on our console. And so EA said, fine, we'll go to PlayStation, which was ironic because PlayStation had its own sports lineup,
989 Sports.
Which
Game Day.
Yep, Game Day. Well, so Game Day was horrible. Wayne Gretzky hockey was solid. And I will always say that people now that play MLB The Show don't understand. And that game has been one of the best baseball games since the original PlayStation, since 989 Sports. 989 Sports was, with the exception of their football games, was top notch.
Yeah, man. That takes me back to the days of Game Breaker. Remember that game?
NCAA game.
Yeah, because my brother was in that game.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he was. He played for Notre Dame, cornerback, number 89, starter.
Nice.
In Game Breaker, I want to say like 97 or something like that.
That is cool.
He was in that game, and that was one of the big reasons I was such a big gamer, but also like into sports. So I played all of the sports games from Sega on up, and I'm still playing sports games to this day. I hate playing Madden, but I still play it every once in a while because it's the only football game around. Unfortunately.
I know. I mean, I even liked All-Star 2K8. Remember Sega took one last shot at it with an unlicensed game. They called it All-Star Football.
Or is like All Pro, or something like that. Yeah,
All Pro. Yeah, you're right. All Pro.
Yeah, it had like Elway on the cover and like a few other people,
and it was all,
but they were in fake jerseys.
Yeah, and it was all retired players that weren't part of the NFLPA anymore, and you put together your dream team, and you could do seasons and stuff like that. I thought that was a great game. And it had the same the same great gameplay that the NFL 2K series had.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was just an advanced 2K5 with no license.
Exactly, and so I mean, to this day, Microsoft didn't want to have that same mistake, so they were like, "Oh, you want to finally get," because they didn't support EA. EA didn't support Xbox Live at the very beginning,
right?
Because they wanted their own interface. They did not want to be part of Microsoft's system. They wanted their own system. So Microsoft created Xbox Live 2.0, which had conduit into EA's side because you had to have your own EA account, and then said, "Hey, we'll drop our sports games for you, no problem." And without hesitation, that was it. So, Triple Play Baseball was good. It was solid. World Series. The World Series 97 on the Saturn, I think, was the better of the two games. But yeah, World Series on the Saturn was great. Dreamcast, not so much. I still play Tommy Lasorda on the Genesis. I still play RBI Baseball. That was a great series.
RBI is fantastic.
Yep. And on the last, the Xbox One and up, I know they're owned by EA now, but the Mega, crap, what's it called? Mega Sports Baseball, Super Mega Baseball. I really liked those games. They were more arcadey, but I really liked those. I thought those were great. I haven't actually played MLB The Show, the newest one. I should.
I have it downloaded, but I haven't played it yet either.
I should play it.
I've heard it was fantastic, and I know Lemons played it and he really liked it. But what made me download it was my buddy Matt likes games which he's not even into baseball. He's not. He said he liked it, and I know Lemon's into sports and stuff like that.
Yes.
So when I hear a sports person tell me that they like a sports game, I'm just like, okay, that makes sense, but it doesn't like pull me into it. But once somebody that's not into sports is like, yo, this game is hitting, I'm like, wait a second. now you got my attention. This is a little weird because I know you don't like football. The only sports game he really likes is basketball because he follows basketball. So to hear him say that he is willing, he liked to play something that's a lot slower paced, and it was fun, and he is rocking out home runs in the game. I'm just like, damn, man. You got me wanting to check it out. Plus, they got the whole Negro League part that's new,
which I want to check
out. I want to check that out because supposedly they have a ton of history in there about all sorts of different stuff. It's not just a Jackie Robinson memorial, which I thought was
entire thing. No, and this
is a big deal.
Yes, and that is where Sony deserves some major props for putting that together. I will give them that when they do something like that, it is special. And the other game that they really concentrate that kind of history and stuff on is Gran Turismo. A Gran Turismo 7, that's a driver's game, right? Like, I love Forza Horizon. Absolutely. Motorsport's going to be really good. But there is something special about Gran Turismo 7. And
now you have me fucked up a little bit.
All right.
What about Gran Turismo screams more to you than like a Forza Motorsport?
Got a different focus.
Because I swear, wrecking in that is no different than Gran Turismo 1.
I'll grant you that piece of it. I will grant you that piece of it. But
it's still weird.
I will tell you so a couple things. So pretend this is the DualShock. One thing I will tell you, I will not play Gran Turismo 7 outside of this mode because the gyroscope steering on that is dead on perfect. And I mean dead on perfect. To the point where I am surgical in races using that method, not the sticks. It's as close to having a wheel as you can have. But when I say that Gran Turismo is a driver's game, Forza Motorsport's a racer's game, right? It's racing. There's something different about, yes, you race in Gran Turismo. In Gran Turismo, there's a lot of history. And in the same way that they do with MLB The Show, there's a lot of car history and a lot of just driving places and taking pictures and stuff like that and building up your collection that honestly is better. Look, with Forza Horizon, it's just collecting cars, right? Just how many cars can you collect?
Right.
Gran Turismo's car collection is a different animal. And you learn about the cars. You learn about, they've got the whole Top Gear style thing. There's a whole element to Gran Turismo.
The whole coffee shop thing is.
Yes, and that makes that game special. I will grant you the physics. The physics in motorsport are far and away better than anything that Polyphony does. No doubt about it. Track telemetry, all that stuff. But that's not what Gran Turismo is about, and I respect it for that. Plus, they've got those musical levels that I'm waiting on them to create more of that just added just this new cool thing. So it's a game that, to me, and this is how I know that those games are good for me. That game can coexist in the same sphere for me as Horizon and Motorsport because they're different. I also, like, they haven't done one in a while, but I remember The Crew from Ubisoft.
Yep. I know they're making a new one now.
I think they are.
They are, yeah.
The crew overall wasn't as quality as Forza Horizon, right? There's definitely, right? However,
the cars, the way they kind of
Right.
move in that game
Right.
feel very much more arcadey. Even though Horizon's more of an arcade game, but it gives you that like real driver sensation
right,
when you
because
pull off and stuff.
because Turn 10 worked on the physics engine with them, with
Playground.
with Playground. But here's the thing: if I want to go drive in Europe, in Mexico, in Spain, or sorry, it's France and Eastern England. Cool. If I want to go drive through the United States, I can put in a crew. So it coexists within my thing.
Different energy, yeah.
Different energy. Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport for me will be able to coexist because they are two different experiences, and that's worth something to me. So that kind of that's my best explanation of it.
All right. Well, you've already answered one of the questions that was like what frustrates you about gaming. So I'll just skip straight to the dream come true. What would be a dream come true for you in today's day with gaming?
If we got back to the old days of making gameplay, number one, making gameplay king, and not putting out an incomplete or broken game. Now, I'm taking Redfall, putting Redfall to the side for a minute, because that's not what I'm talking about. There used to be a time, like I said, I talked about it earlier, when I would cover id Software stuff, and I'd ask when the game was coming out, and their answer was when it's done. Because they knew if they put a game out on disc that didn't have the ability to have a day one patch or constant updates, that game had better frickin' work. And it better not be broken. How many broken Saturn, Dreamcast, Sega CD, Genesis, Super Nintendo? How many broken games? I'm not talking about bad quality games. I'm not talking about shovelware. How many broken games came out on those systems? Not many. It was few and far between and rare as you got up in. Whereas now, you could release a game like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 that was outright broken, and content that was in the code was not available to you. And that's how they could release it, right? You could release games without modes. I'll give you this one. Let's even take Halo Infinite out of the mix. Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain released without its multiplayer mode that was advertised and wasn't put in for like a year.
Last of Us is currently doing that.
I was just about to say The Last of Us. They're still waiting on that. Games don't have to work out of the box anymore. They could be broken, they could have problems, and then they could just be patched. I would love for us to get back away from that, and then to get back to, hey, this game will be out when it's ready. You could show the game, you could demo the game, but you're not going to tell us when it's coming until it's ready.
Right?
So,
man, demos need to make a solid comeback. I feel like it's like very far and few between when you get a demo. I remember just a couple of years ago, I believe, the year that It Takes Two won Game of the Year. A little game called Scarlet Nexus came out. From Bandai Namco. And this game had a demo that came out a few months before the game actually dropped. And I had so much respect for being able to demo that game, because I can guarantee you If I didn't play that demo, I would have never bought that game. I wouldn't have bought it. I would have just looked at it like, you look similar to something I thought I didn't like previously. I'm not buying it. But instead, since I got to play that demo of that JRPG, I was just like, man, I can't miss this game. I can't. I think demos need to come back strong. And I feel like that's one other thing I think that Sony's doing fairly well. Is at least they're giving you some demos, which is kind of weird that it's not a paid subscription. I don't like that.
But at least it's there.
What I'd like to see is more demos or, game previews. Like, game previews are fantastic, in my opinion. I'm not loving paying for game previews too much. But, hey, sometimes that's the access that gets you into that game, and it's way cheaper for the game preview than it is for a full game. Like Ark Survival Evolved. For me, I would have never got into that game if I didn't spend the $13 for the game preview, and then once it came out, I owned it. They said, if you paid for the game preview, you can just have the game. So everybody else is paying $60, $100 for the collector's edition, stuff like that. I paid $13 for the same game that they're playing. And it's because I was there from day one.
Right.
With them. Man, that just needs to make a strong comeback. But I'm going to stop right there because we've hit past the 3-hour mark. And man,
should have warned you.
I was warned. And I said, unlock the door anyways. Let the beast out.
Nice. This has
with
been
the
wonderful,
shits.
Ham.
But yeah, man, it's been an absolutely fantastic conversation. Very informative. Yes. Respect level raised even higher.
And on this side too.
It's been a fantastic day, and I'm telling you what, this is what I needed this week. This episode right here is what I needed this week. Because I'm not going to lie, I've had a hard last few weeks. I haven't slept very good in over a week. I've been having some in-house kind of health issues. So, and not just with me, but also with my 5-year-old. So, I've been kind of going through the shit mentally, even though I know it's all going to be fine. It's just a very transitional period for my family. And we've been moving all over the place for the last 3-4 years. And living somewhere where I currently live, which is in Iowa, a place I'd never thought I'd ever live.
Nobody ever thinks they live in Iowa.
A place I never thought I'd live. I don't have any friends or family around here at all. So it's weird not having to be in my fields the way I am and not having anybody to lean on at all. You know what I mean? So
I do.
So it's definitely helpful having this episode with you today. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on here, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Please, one last time, just let everybody know, in case there's some folks that come through that don't know who you are and enjoyed this conversation, made it this far, 3 hours in, please let them know where they could possibly find you or where they can find you.
So, I don't know if it's possible. Do you have the, I didn't look, do you have the stuff down below?
I should have your stuff in the description below. I'm gonna check real quick.
So that's first and foremost. So, the original Next Level Gaming is hopefully that link's down below, and that's our YouTube channel. We're on Tuesday nights, 9:30 p.m. Me and Fastback and HTK, who are both in the chat tonight. We just talk and have fun. Try to have fun. And then throughout the week, sometimes on Thursday nights, sometimes on Friday nights, we'll do some streaming. Peter and I do some co-op streaming. Chris will jump in too. So you can find me there. On Twitter, it's NLG Mullis. Just pretty much NLG in my last name. We also have a OG_NL Gaming Twitter, which gives you, whenever Behind Them Sticks comes up, or bull sitting, or one of your shows comes up, I try to retweet it. So there's a place people can go to catch all the other GUG shows. You can catch me on Xbox at Stinger, Stinger NLG. I'm the original NLG on PlayStation. You cannot find me on Switch because I don't play one. And that's pretty much everywhere. Thank you for spamming that in the chat. You're muted again.
Dang it. God dang it. Thank you. I'm saying no problem. No problem for spamming that in the chat at all. But again, thank you so much for coming through.
This was wonderful.
It was an absolute blast, man.
I had such a great time. And you're such a gracious and great host. You got a good thing going here. It does remind me that I do need to get Luke on the show, because I had you on. He is a member, so I got to get him on. So I want to kind of dive into. I love the polls that he puts up, and I want to dive into. His gaming history and stuff too. So it does remind me I got to get a hold of him. But thank you. This has been, dude. It's been an awesome night. I have really enjoyed chopping it up with you. I really have.
Thank you so much. Well, the last thing I'm going to ask you to do before I leave is what I ask every single person to do. And you had the chance to know this prior, but chose to be spicy. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to have you describe gaming in just 3 words.
I did say surprise me. You did warn me.
I sure did.
The great pastime.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I'm guessing there's one of those dashes in between the words right there. Pastime.
Well, pastime like baseball,
Yeah. Love it.
The great pastime.
That works perfectly for this episode. I tell you what, it really does. But again, thank you everybody for coming out to this episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming and my brother Mike Mullis from Next Level Gaming. Super happy to have brought you guys this episode today. It's been a great evening for sure. One to remember. Make sure you guys stay tuned. I will be having my regular show, Bullsitting, tomorrow. Unfortunately, Loke won't be able to make it because he's going to be at a wedding. So I'm going to be hosting the show. So it will be interesting for sure. But thanks again, everybody, for showing up. I hope you guys had a good time.
Great
I
chat.
hope you guys had a good time for sure. I know I had a good time, but just make sure that whatever you do, you keep it gaming or you keep it moving. See you later, y'all.
Play on, gamers.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Gaming. Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. That's your name. Come and talk to me. I just want a conversation. No, I'm not your type. but baby, listen, I'm just saying, we can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, boo. See, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it